Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent, horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Sunday morning, Two Dudes and a Mic. It is November 3rd. We got a game going on right now in London. Jaguars, Texans.
Which is stupid.
We are going to,
As always.
I'm very tired of these.
Stop
London
taking
games.
home games away from teams.
Yep.
That and stop putting football on at 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday when I'm still rolling out of bed.
Oh man, oversaturating the market for you, huh?
As long as good teams never play in that slot, I'm happy. You can do
I don't. It's not that they're oversaturating the market. It's that the game's in London and it just messes up the schedule.
It does.
It's
London is for soccer games
and
1-0 games.
yeah, and these fans in London don't have any idea what is even happening on the football field. They're wearing jerseys of opposing teams that aren't even there. Like
I think
they're clueless.
I think they must hand out jerseys outside or something, or just sell random jerseys. Because I see every team represented in that crowd. I mean, there's Tampa
absolutely.
Bay fans in London.
But you also have to understand.
There's Miami fans
when
in
they
London?
started,
Well, there's Miami fans everywhere.
when they started the whole London thing, people in London became really big fans of football, and they only get like 1-2 games a year.
Yeah.
So their team's not playing. So
think it's
they're gonna
3.
come in. They're gonna come in their gear. You know what I mean? That they have for the team they like.
This is their favorite part of the game right here. Look at this. The
Boom.
field goal kicking.
Yes.
That's what they're used to.
Oh God. So we have the Jaguars Texans game up here in studio. We're gonna keep an eye on that during the live stream as long as our internet connection allows. So
I'll be keeping 2 eyes on
Yeah,
it.
we're actually sharing our connection with the Cumbies Wi-Fi down the street.
Yeah,
That's not a Cumbies, is it?
Our connection is stolen from my neighbor with the Jesus and Mary statue in the front lawn. So
Good guy.
In the half tub. Mary on the half tub.
Holy Wi-Fi.
Mary and a half show. But we have a lot to talk today. We're gonna let's kick it off with UFC 244 quickly. Go over a little bit of that fight card, and then we'll get right into some World Series talk, some big pitchers on the market this year, in free agency. And he does that every week. Steph Curry breaking his hand, being out over in Golden State, and how that's affected them. We're going to get into the NFL, as always, probably with a solid hour of NFL talk. We get a decent amount of things there to talk about. And yeah, we got a whole gamut of things for you today. So let's start off with UFC 244. The Masvidal versus Diaz card, obviously, for the BMF title, the baddest mofo.
Oh, I also like to say that this was a pay-per-view, and all the adults on this were complete pussies. It wouldn't just say baddest motherfucker. It was so annoying.
The adults who?
Like the announcers, nobody would
yeah,
say
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Dude, when Bruce Buffer came out and was like, BMF, I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here. You just screamed out a fucking advertisement. Like, come on, you can say bad motherfucker. It'll be all right.
So, yeah, there was some good fights leading up to this card. I'm gonna pull it up here on UFC 244. But the fight that I'm thinking of here off the top of my head is the Vicente Luque Stephen Thompson fight.
Yo, my boy, I was watching this fight going, yo, my man is calling out on Monday, and there's going to be a substitute teacher at the school he teaches math at, because that's what he looks like.
Stephen Thompson?
Yeah.
My Lord.
He looked like Forrest Gump to me.
Oh, my
dude,
God.
that dude's a savage.
My God.
Dude, I've never seen somebody. And listen, I'm not a huge UFC guy, but I've never seen somebody straight kick someone in the chest to the ground. And I saw it twice. I saw it twice.
He's a professional kickboxer
Yeah.
with an undefeated kickboxing record, and he's an absolute animal. But Vicente Luque, no slouch of an opponent. The guy's an absolute
all.
animal. Took a ton of punishment and kept coming. And I think he's even losing this fight. I mean, you lose to Stephen Thompson. It's not.
No, he's a good
It's not-
fighter.
he's a good fighter,
and it was a
and-
good fight.
and
He's
you
far
still-
more experienced than that guy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. You know what I mean? It's like...
And I mean,
you don't have to take
Thompson
that.
not too long ago beat Masvidal, who was on the main card of this fight. So
That's what's so great about Dana White compared to, say, like boxing, right? Like, he gives you, first of all, he gives you the fights you want to see. There's not the promotional
Yeah.
baloney that goes on.
Yep.
But you can lose in the UFC and return and come back.
Yeah.
Compared to boxing, if you have a loss on your record, it's like it's the end of the world, which is not true. You're gonna lose when you get in the ring with guys like this, or the octagon in this case.
Look at both guys in the main card, Masvidal and Diaz. They both have 13, 14 losses.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're gonna lose.
This is a sport where no matter how good you are at your craft, one punch could end your night, and we see that a lot in the UFC. We saw it with a 5-second knockout of Ben Askren with Masvidal last time, and Vicente Luque, though, I was even in the loss, I was very impressed with his performance and his ability to hang in there and take damage, and I think that kid's gonna be solid in the welterweight division. He's going to move up the ladder even after this loss.
Yeah, I think you learn from those losses. I think more than even the wins.
We got to see our boy, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. This guy is hilarious. I think when he goes to a split decision, I feel like the judges are like, all right, it's a close fight, but I want to hear what he has to say after this.
Well, would it matter if he won or lost, though? Because I think his interview would be great either way.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
a way, right? Because you're getting him emotionally right after a tough loss or a tough win.
I mean, the guy that he was fighting, Ivanov.
Hold on. The guy he was fighting, I want to say, the scariest man I've ever seen in my life. Because he's like, first of all, Russian. So he's like,
no, he's not Russian. He was Bulgarian.
Okay, that's the same thing. And dude,
We got to get a world map.
But he looks-
a world map puzzle.
But he
Geography.
looks-
Back to 7th grade
But
geography.
he looks exactly like you would think someone like that would look. Dude, he's got so many nicks in his head. He got stabbed in the chest.
No, he was in intensive care and on a respirator in a coma for like 60 days.
Dude, he looks like
How do you ever fight again?
Not that long ago.
He seriously looks like a European hitman for like the mob. Like the dude
He does, yeah,
The
he
dude's
does.
terrifying, and he was basically just like,
Eating punches.
yeah, he was just like, your punches do not faze me. Like it was like awful, dude.
Dude, he ate a lot of heavy hands from Derek. And we know Derek Lewis has the ability to knock you out cold with one punch.
Did you guys feel like Lewis won? I felt like Lewis won.
I felt like Lewis won
2
because
rounds.
he landed more meaningful punches than the other guy did.
Yeah, I think it was fair. I think it was fair that he won the fight. I just think the other guy's terrifying.
It wouldn't have been a robbery to me if
No.
Ivanov had won.
Yeah, it
But
could have
I
went either
felt
way,
like
but,
Lewis
but
probably
I felt
won.
like after watching it, I felt like Lewis was going to win.
I felt that this particular card felt like Joe Rogan came in more high than usual because he was just like throwing shade all over the place throughout the night. Like at one point he was like, they should really just put these judges' names and their scores up on the jumbotron when the third round starts, so so the guys can see it, and then we'll see them really start the fight, and we can hold these judges accountable for bad stuff. Like he just started saying wild stuff all night.
When you look down the card, it didn't seem like there were many good fights as far as names go, but there was Kevin Lee versus I can't say this guy's name, Giuseppe.
Which one?
Gregor Giuseppe, the guy that got
Yes, that's it. That's his name.
Giuseppe, yeah.
yeah kicked in the side of the head to death, basically.
Oh, it was awesome.
Probably, and Rogan made mention to this, probably the cleanest kick you'll ever see in the UFC, straight to the side of the
His
head.
jaw came off.
His head looked like it was going to detach from his body. That's how hard he got kicked. And I text Angel immediately. I said, if this guy doesn't die as a result of that kick to the head, I'd be surprised because it was that clean. The guy got launched across the ring or the cage when he took that hit, and he was out cold the entire announcement of the winner, and he was.
But it's things like that that are kind of scary in a way, right? Like the fans want blood. Like I'm sure we're going to get into the Diaz.
The fans want that.
They want
Yeah.
they do, but the fans go, they're booing and they're screaming against doctor advice.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
come on.
And we're gonna get into that fight in a
Stop.
minute. And why
I have an opinion on that, and it's probably
I do
not
too.
something you expect.
we're gonna save it, but
Yeah,
That is-
for you to say that, you must kind of know that it's
the fans do want that. The fans want
some
blood,
fans.
gore. They want brutal, vicious knockouts, and they don't really care about the result because they're not the guy in the ring taking the damage. But
That's making my point.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the Giuseppe fight was exactly that. That guy took the most vicious kick I've ever seen to the head, and I've never seen anyone get knocked out in that fashion. Even the Ben Askren knockout last time was.
I think I have.
I don't know, man. I
think I've
can't.
seen him.
That guy,
by a kick specifically.
yeah, that guy got launched across the cage, man. He was out. He was out cold. And even when he woke up, when they finally woke him up after,
He was like on Batman.
Lee was halfway through his interview, and this guy finally woke up, and you could tell in his eyes, he literally didn't know where he was. He had no idea where he was. And that's what makes the UFC great, though. The fact that they have
People
guys
die.
willing to get in the ring.
The UFC, I've said this on here before, the UFC is less dangerous. MMA is less dangerous than boxing.
It is. It's
By
one of those,
far.
It's
Yeah.
one of those weird, stupid, like, look deeper stats. Like the same thing with soccer. Like, oh, there's actually more concussions in soccer. It's like, yeah, but you're not going to die playing soccer. It's like, it's one of those things where, like, boxing seems far less dangerous, but it actually is because it's a lot of concentrated hits to a singular part of the body.
Right.
And
It's
also,
a lot harder to stop a fight in boxing
Yeah.
if you're taking an accumulation of punches.
well, we haven't seen 3 MMA fighters die after their fights in one year like we have in boxing, right? And boxing, obviously, those are heavy gloves too. The UFC are using just lightly padded gloves.
Yeah, dude, those gloves force harder punches in boxing for sure.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Was it 16, 18 ounces? I mean, you're throwing an extra pound behind every punch you throw. So, but this card turned out to be pretty good. Even the Derek Lewis fight, Ivanov fight was a solid fight. The Thompson Vicente Luque fight was great. And then obviously Darren Till being the guy that got there goes the
No,
still
we're
working. All right. So those of you not watching, Jaguars are up. I'm sorry, Jaguars are down 9-3 to the Texans.
Texans are driving. 30 seconds left in the half.
Yep. So yeah, the Darren Till fight was the guy that got absolutely cleaned out with the kick.
Yep.
And
But Till won.
No.
No.
You're wrong.
Okay, I'm
Darren Till
Giuseppe
beat
got knocked out.
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe was the
Darren
guy.
Till beat
yeah,
Gaston.
you're right. That
Split decision.
Darren Till's the fight that I fell asleep for.
It was the co-main event.
yeah. That's
Darren
right.
Till's cool. I like him.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah.
After watching this, I was like, I like this guy.
That was
how did he win?
a split decision. That was
okay.
an upset. Gaston was a big favorite.
Hey, but the other guy, Kelvin, I don't really like him because he's kind of annoying me a little bit. And then at the end, when they said that Hill won, he's like, it's like, yeah, dude, he clearly won. He beat you.
Yeah, he won.
We all
Till
seen it.
won.
I don't
Till
even
won.
watch UFC, and I saw that he beat you.
I watched I think the first round or two of that fight, and he was
It was only a 3-round fight.
must have watched the first round then because I fell asleep and then I woke up and Diaz was already in the ring and they were announcing Masvidal and I was like, oh, okay.
You look
At least I woke up for this.
He looked like exactly what should have happened: a taller opponent dominating a shorter opponent. That's exactly what the fight looked like.
Yeah. Let me pull up. I didn't send this here, but the Diaz.
Hill was just scoring at all times. That's what he kept doing, scoring. Nothing crazy.
The Diaz Masvidal fight did not disappoint. It was a legitimate face-to-face street fight for the entire
3 rounds.
Yeah,
three rounds that it lasted.
Masvidal needs to have an evaluation. He's a psychopath. Masvidal's a psychopath.
No, I mean
He's a scary dude.
He is.
I
Dude,
mean,
he
when
was
he says
telling-
some scary stuff,
He was telling Nate Diaz to keep punching him in the face.
he's
Listen,
a
we've
scary-
seen guys do this before, but this was a fight in which both dudes are very volatile. Both dudes are coming in angry because they want to win this fight. And it's just a weird thing to egg on that kind of opponent. It's like I would have said the same thing if Nate was doing it to Masvidal. It's a weird thing to be taking punches from that kind of opponent and then just being like,
Nate's a scary guy, but this guy's another notch
Yeah,
above, right? He was
without a doubt.
homeless. He's fighting in the backyard. He's got more edge than Nate has.
And you know what? I feel like he doesn't get enough. He doesn't get enough love. Like again, I'm pretty novice when it comes to UFC, but I love Jorge. He might be my favorite fighter, and it's not. I'm not trying to jump on a hype wagon, but it's just like as I've learned the information about him, I'll be like, oh, this dude's underrated. Like first of all, he's got 34 wins, which is wild.
got over 50 fights in the UFC.
That's
which is
wild.
kind of insane.
Well, in MMA altogether.
In MMA altogether,
They're not
yeah,
UFC.
I think he's got like 20.
his
in the UFC or
professional
something
record.
like
His
that.
professional record.
UFC will post their records in their entire MMA
Yeah,
career,
yeah.
but a lot of times
Well,
they're
that-
just new in the UFC.
It's a professional record, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But he's got 34 wins. None of his losses he's what 12 losses or 14 losses.
Yeah.
He's never been finished,
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
it's
leads me
never
to
raised
believe he
up.
probably could have won half of those.
That's
Never
crazy.
been
Depending on the
That's a-
judging.
that's
Depending
a-
on the judging. So
That's a feather in your cap.
to
Never been
me,
stopped.
to me, that's a guy who, if you fight him on the street, you will never beat him. You
No.
will never beat him if you fight him on the street.
No, he's
Unless someone stops it for you, you're not going to beat him.
he's a different kind of breed of fighter. There's a guy like him was born and raised to fight, and that's all he did growing up. That's all he knows, right? You saw the videos of him doing the backyard fights with Kimbo,
knocking out dudes 2 times his weight class,
knocking out heavyweights. Right, had 160 pounds, 170 pounds. I mean, the guy is born to fight, and he's obviously has absolutely no fear. And there is a sick, twisted thing about him that like he actually enjoys getting punched in the face. Right. Like the old quote from Mike Tyson: "Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face." This guy,
my plan has not changed.
his plan, his plan does not change. And whether he's getting punched directly in the face, whatever, he took some damaging shots from Diaz and was smiling and encouraging.
And
more.
I mean, the guy wasn't content with dominating 3 rounds. It was. Let's run it back because I don't want my opponent to leave here conscious. Like, who says that?
Yeah.
But also, it was you're right. But it was also a respect thing too, because as soon as they stopped it, he ran to Diaz and was like, "That's bull, man. That's crap.
Well,
that's nonsense."
This is the thing, right? If you're the UFC and you're marketing this as the BMF title, which is obviously created for this event, as the baddest mofo in the UFC.
Goodness. Listen, we don't have to swear a lot, but you could say that.
How can you let the fight end on a stoppage?
Yeah. That's where I agree
easily.
That's where
we'll go back to Mike Tyson. He was the baddest guy on the planet, right? Mm-hmm. Mike Tyson quit probably 5 or 6 different times. Whatever loss he ever had, he basically quit.
Quit or just
quit in terms of boxing? I mean, we're not somebody else, so we don't know what's going on for him. But like, he basically quit.
Yeah,
he quit when he bit a guy's ear. He quit.
Yeah,
I mean, just tell the truth. He quit.
True. I just don't understand how a doctor can come in and now this fight was in Madison Square Garden. Most of the UFC fight events are in Las Vegas, right? And Rogan made mention to this right on the set. He said, if this fight was in Vegas, this wouldn't have been stopped. We've seen more damage on Nate Diaz and it not be stopped.
Here's why. You ready? The New York State Athletic Commission has experienced deaths through boxing a lot more.
Yeah.
They're going to be more cautious. You have different doctors. Dana White came out and said at first, he was like, they shouldn't have stopped this. But as he saw Nate Diaz in the locker room or in the back or whatever, he thought it was a good stoppage.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go with fans that want blood over a doctor's decision. I'm almost always going to go to the doctor in that case.
I love everything about what happened. I love all the sides, which is so rare. So, like, I agree with Jared's point 100%. You've marked, it's not he is the baddest, that you marketed this as a belt of who is the baddest. So one of these guys has to die in the ring.
That's the next thing I was saying. I literally.
So stopping it in
this
that
is
aspect,
a fight to the death.
That's literally what I'm saying. Is that what's next? We're gonna fight to the death. So that's what makes you baddest, right?
If you're trying to market it as such, I don't feel like you can make a stoppage for that.
I agree with him there. I think he's correct.
Not true.
But
I know.
So let me get to it. I think he's correct in that aspect. I also think the doctor's correct for stopping it in the broader aspect of just the rules of fighting.
Well, the doctor has an individual job, and his job is to look at it objectively without. Who cares about the belt? Who cares who Nate Diaz is? Who cares?
It's not a belt. They didn't fight for that's an imaginary belt.
Yeah, exactly.
They made up a story so they could buy pay-per-views.
That's what I'm saying. That's a doctor's job is to look past all that nonsense and to make an objective decision on who can fight and who can't fight.
Yeah,
right. And so, imagine being that doctor. He could get his license stripped.
Yeah.
I let this guy go when he died.
But my issue here is Nate Diaz. You could see him on the film telling the doctor, "I'm good. I want to fight. I want to fight."
Dude,
every fighter on earth says that.
You know how many guys who have died after a fight have said, "I'm good"?
I know that.
The guy Maxim.
If you know that, you wouldn't be saying that.
But it's his face. So if his eye falls off tomorrow because he wanted to keep fighting, then
the doctor loses his license for doing it.
A doctor can't do that. Can't just say he wants to fight or he wants to go on or he's willing to take that risk. The doctor has to make a determination based on what's going on. That's what he's there. That's what he's hired to do.
I feel like there should be some sort of override where they're like, all right, Diaz, we're going to stop this fight. And he's like, no, I don't want to stop this fight. Okay, well, sign this paper that says your eye could fall off.
Okay,
right.
that's fair.
You can't do that because now you'd almost have to be psychologically screened like at that point. And not even almost. I think you would, right? Like we'll let you kill yourself, right?
It felt like a weak stoppage because I've seen Diaz with worse cuts. Right?
I don't think you have. I think you've seen him bleed worse, but I don't think you've seen worse cuts.
Well,
I think you've seen worse cuts, but what you've seen is you've seen him with more cuts and bleeding all over his face as opposed to one side.
That's worse.
I mean,
it's not. One bad one's worse than 50 small ones, dude.
What was the reason that you wanted the fight to continue? So you get 2 more rounds of Masvidal killing him, or what was? I want to know individually.
Well, that's the thing I keep trying to get to. And the reason why I like everything about the fight. The stopping was great. The fact that they hated that it was stopped was great. The fact that both guys loved each other and was great. The fact that Masvidal was like, yo, you robbed my man of the glory of taking the L I was going to give him. Because a fighter, as crazy as it sounds, a fighter wants an L, but not to be given to him by someone who's not a fighter.
I get
Well,
it.
You know what I mean?
I get
The
it.
reason
I get
why-
what they
the
want.
reason-
I
what they
hate
want.
you so much.
The main reason why I don't like the stoppage is because Diaz has a history of getting his ass kicked essentially the entire fight, and then
Yep.
at the
I'm
end.
not saying he didn't have a chance to turn it around.
Yeah.
So
He
that's
did.
another thing I
However,
was-
he would have had to win by. He would have lost those 3 rounds.
It
He
would
would
have
have
had
had
to
to win by KO or submission.
TKO,
He would have had-
KO or
I'm
submission.
not saying he
It's
couldn't
the
do
only
it.
way
I'm
he
just
could've
saying
won.
the doctor has. I'm thinking about being in that doctor's shoes. I don't give a shit about anybody else's feelings.
Yeah.
Or what they want
No,
to watch.
of course,
So-
of course.
So, as far as the Diaz thing goes, I was telling, like I've said to him before, Diaz is an extremely skilled submitter, and he can knock you out, but he's extremely skilled at submitting people. He almost got Masvidal in a lock, and he slipped out of it before the round ended.
Yeah.
But his entire game, his game plan, his whole career, I feel like has been he rope-a-dopes people, but he rope-a-dopes them with his face. That's the thing. He lets you punch his face because he has this weird, otherworldly ability to just take punishment.
He's got a high level of pain tolerance and not much defense, unfortunately.
So that's his thing. He rope-a-dopes you because all those punches to the face are tiring you out more than they're tiring him out. And when it comes to, and he said it himself, I was trying to wait till the 4th round to really do anything. And it's like, if you watch any of his fights, it's true. When he fought Conor McGregor beat him up worse, and then he choked him out. Basically, what he waits to do is waits to get to the end of a fight and let you do whatever he wants to him so that you're dead. And then now his technique, which is superior to your defense, is going to come in and beat you. However, you're right. The cut was awful. I agree with you. The cut was awful. And I think I'm going to say this. First of all, does anyone else not think he's mentally retarded when he talks, Nate Diaz? There's no way he's been like that his whole life.
I mean, you get punched in the face over and over.
He's
I
been
mean,
punched. He's been punched too many times.
I get
and I think
that.
he
I get
definitely
that.
has some
What-
sort of brain injury.
What I'm saying
That's
is-
what I'm saying. We're gonna let
The
Nate
last
Diaz
time-
make decisions or a doctor.
The last
Like,
time I saw
just-
Nate Diaz
just be
fight, I
honest.
don't believe he had that lisp, is what I'm saying.
No, he did.
Well, he's getting worse. I mean, these guys take damage.
Exactly.
Let's see Nate Diaz in 10 years.
Exactly. That's
Oh, yeah.
so that's
When he's
the,
signing
so,
autographs
so,
somebody to try to
so
make
that's
money.
the
You
point.
know, I mean,
So that's the point I want to get to. If you're gonna being a guy who gets cut every time he gets punched his entire career, who bleeds profusely every time he fights, who now is clearly mentally jacked up. Watching him talk was like watching, dude, it was the drunk dude at the bar the other night. It was awful. It was kind of disgusting watching him fight, knowing that he speaks that way. Because I don't think he's been that way his whole life.
Yeah, he was that way in his last
hate
fight when he
you.
called out Jorge.
Okay, but I mean, I highly doubt he's been like that forever, dude.
part of it's probably career.
Like,
No,
really?
of course he has.
And part of it's a
All right,
character.
so the point I've taken
know it.
15 minutes to get to is, I think if they're gonna
Whose
start,
fault is
if
that?
they're gonna start, well, you
Make
keep
the
getting
point.
interrupted every 20 fucking
I know.
minutes.
I'm
keep
known for
taking too
interrupting.
long.
That's what I do, man. I interrupt everybody.
So-
I'm sorry.
What he's doing is, well, I mean, what I think he should do is, if he's a guy like that who gets caught every fight and bleeds every fight, you should just tell him you can't fight anymore. If you're gonna start stopping his fights, because he's going to get cut every fight, it's going to happen.
There's
So
just-
you should just tell him you're done.
There's just not much of an argument. You had 3 rounds to not get put in that position. I mean,
Yeah.
you obviously
And
getting cut all the time. It's part of your character at this point.
Yeah.
Of who you are as a UFC
Yeah.
fighter.
And if you know that, then you need to adjust your fighting to come out hot in the first, second round because you're not going to make it to the fourth
and let's
round.
be honest, the UFC wins again because this fight's it's still marketable a second
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Even though
Which is annoying.
In other sports, it's not. One guy dominates another guy and a fight gets stopped on cuts. There's not really a need to fight again, but somehow in the UFC they've already spun this to we have to see this again in case.
We just talked about why it could be spun this way because Nate Diaz's way of fighting is beat me up for 3 quarters, and that 4th quarter I'm going to rock you.
Yeah,
That's
but
how
the-
he
but the
fights. That's
next-
how he got 20 wins besides a couple knockouts.
But the next fight will probably look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
it
if-
doesn't get stopped by
and
a
if
different
and
doctor
if it
in a
doesn't get
different
stopped,
jurisdiction.
I don't
but-
doubt Diaz snaps his arm in half in the 5th. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe, maybe
That's what I'm
not. It's a
saying.
different guy. It's
You're
a different
talking-
animal. He's getting older.
You're talking about a guy with 50 professional fights who's never been finished. So, I mean, is Nate Diaz going to be the guy to do it when he bleeds like a sieve from round one on?
I'll say this about Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz is the one guy whose record is ugly, but everyone who fights him goes, "This dude can beat you." He's the right now Manny Pacquiao. He's the guy. Manny Pacquiao. How many young guys have Manny Pacquiao fought that he shouldn't have beat, and he beat?
Yeah, but
And
that's
it's like-
that's a guy with all kinds of skill, not a grinder like Diaz.
But that's the thing
yeah.
about Diaz. Diaz in UFC, grinding's more important than technique a lot of ways because people gas out more than any other sport in UFC. So
Well, when they lean on each other in those kind of fights.
yeah.
The difference.
So with a guy like Diaz,
My
it's
wife
like
needs your keys. Park behind her.
You're gonna unlock me out of this dungeon they put me in.
So yeah, man, he that's his thing. He's gonna take it deep. That's what he wants to do. I don't know.
What?
Take it deep.
No
no,
pun
we won't
intended.
do. We won't do that.
No pun intended. Yeah, good card. I'm looking forward to the
And,
rematch, and hopefully it doesn't get stopped.
And the reason why I kind of like the stoppage is because in a fight like this, where it's basically billed as unstoppable force, immovable object kind of thing, no one really lost the fight. Someone lost the sport. No one lost the fight. If you break it down that way, it's a sport. But as far as a fight, no one lost the fight.
If you had to score it based on the 3 rounds, I mean, Masvidal wins.
No,
hands
you're
down.
right. If it got to a decision, there'd be
He's
a
already
loss.
won, even if he gets dominated
Yes,
for
if
2
it got
rounds.
to
He's
a
already
decision,
won
if
3
it got to a
rounds.
decision, there's a loss. If someone got knocked out, there's a loss. Someone gets submitted, there's a loss. Them stopping it, I think, is cool for the marketing of the type of fight this is.
It is.
Because it's like, we got to pull these guys apart. They can't, like, we got to do it. Like, it's cool. I think this or a draw are the two best ways this fight could end.
I wonder how long it takes to get sanctioned to come back. Like I'm just going to speak on boxing. A cut like that would take a while to get sanctioned for another fight, but I'm not sure UFC. He's got to be out that long.
And a buddy of mine who's
Back in
a med student, I was watching it with him, and he was telling me, he's like, dude, his face is so full of scar tissue that
Yes.
that's why he gets
I was
he
just
bleeds
gonna say
immediately.
that.
It's just-
I was just gonna say
He's
that.
like, his scar tissue just tears every time because his face is meat. It's just
Yeah.
busted meat.
You
at
can
this
see
point.
it. You can see it. His face is loaded with scars.
Yeah.
Loaded.
He's got bony ass eyebrows and scar tissue all over him. The minute that gets
Yeah.
pushed into it, it's like it's like poking through paper.
He doesn't need to do this anymore.
And
I
he
mean,
takes-
this
and-
is
and-
mentality.
It's a guy that literally. I mean, it doesn't even matter on the impact of the punch. He bleeds immediately. As soon as you punch him, he bleeds. I mean, it doesn't matter how hard you hit him or where you hit him or how you hit him. He just bleeds.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And he's kind of used to that and accustomed to that, and he's always fought through it. And that's the main reason why I was kind of surprised with the stoppage, because it's like you have to know the history of the fighter a little bit, right? Like this guy has done this a lot of times. Like
I think the history can work in either direction. Like, this is enough for this guy. He's taken enough. But you can see it that way.
Yeah.
And you can see it the other way, which says this guy's known for coming back late. The doctor doesn't care about whether he can come back and win.
And
or not.
also, I'm pretty
That's
sure
that's-
the small Indian doctor who is 60 has probably never seen a Nate Diaz fight,
what
so
is-
he doesn't know what this guy does.
He's part of the commission. He's a commission hired doctor. So,
What is-
I mean, I don't know.
what is the grounds for stopping the fight? Like, what would that doctor tell you is the reason it got stopped?
That can lead to a major
What
injury,
Pete
or
said
he's
was that's going
blinded
to
by the
become
cut.
that's going to become a giant hematoma. My
Right,
friend on the
right.
couch said that. So that's going to become a giant hematoma if they don't stop this
a
fight.
legitimate medical condition, or blood drops into the eye where he can't see, things like that that
Yeah.
impair him. It's simple.
I mean, looking at it in the interview, it almost looked like if that cut got any worse, that his upper eyelid was going to flap over his eye.
there you go. And now your vision is impaired. Imagine
Dude, his
the guy
eyebrow
already gets
his
hit by
eyebrow
everything
was
as it is.
removed from his head. It looked better at the end because they had glued it 4 times.
I think
That's
it was.
the other
they
thing.
didn't
They've
glue
already
it so
worked
many
on it by the
times.
time they're going to interview.
I think it was just below the eyebrow. It was like
no, it
underneath
was
there, right?
here. It was above the hairline, and the hairline was dropped.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was-
So I
it was
mean,
awful.
I guess the risk of permanent eye injury is.
And again,
Probably
like I
that's
said,
not a
my buddy Pete said right away, he goes, if that keeps getting hit, it's going to develop into a hematoma, and it's a problem.
Okay.
So,
Isn't
like-
a hematoma just a giant bruise?
Yeah, but
That's
like,
gonna do
but it's a
major
giant
damage.
bruise on your skull, right next to your brain, dude. Like, it's like,
I guess.
you know what I mean? Like,
I'm sure they didn't stop it because of a
You
bruise. They stopped
savages.
it because of the risk of.
but at that point, I don't
opening
think
up.
it's that point in its placement. I don't think it's a bruise. I think it becomes a soft point in the head where the brain is just bouncing, and that's what he's trying to say. How do you think that dude died in that boxing match, dude? His face was fine. How do you think he died?
Oh yeah.
There's been a bunch of them.
You know what I mean? Like,
Brain swelling. That's how. He
all
got it.
right, what do you think's happening to Nate Diaz, dude? I'm pretty sure his brain's pretty swollen already. Can't get through a sentence.
I'm scarred ever since I saw Apollo Creed. I was 7 years old when Apollo Creed died against Ivan Drago. So maybe I'm on the cautious. Let's take precautions.
And what I said, and I've referenced Rocky before, and I
You
know it's
have, yeah.
and I know it's fiction, but it's fiction taken from context. I've referenced it before, and I'm going to reference it again. When I said guys would rather lose than have some nobody outsider, not a fighter, stop their fight, That's what we saw with Apollo Creed. He's
It's
like,
fiction
Don't
because-
you dare stop my fight. I'd rather die like a man than you stop it. I'm a coward. That's how they think. It's wrong, but that's how a lot of these guys think.
I know. But we have to protect them from themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's fiction because Apollo would have won that fight. You kidding me?
I don't know, man.
The first round, just with the jab in the first round, he's dominating him.
Yeah, but Ivan was
dominating.
eating. Ivan was eating. Ivan was eating.
dominating
Let's
him.
talk some World Series. Some Major League Baseball World Series.
Do we have to?
Yes. So obviously, World Series is over. Washington Nationals win their first series title since becoming the Washington Nationals. And as we alluded to last week on the air, not a single game was won in a home stadium. The series goes to 7 games, not a single game won in a home stadium.
That's why sports is great, right? Something like that. It's so random.
Crazy.
That's what's great about it. You can these stats and this information and just take that in.
And obviously, Strasburg becomes the MVP of the series, had a great series, career high 18 wins for the season.
Yep.
First pitcher in MLB history to win 5 games in a single postseason without a loss.
And second most strikeouts.
Yeah,
in the postseason.
second
to
most
Schilling, to my man Kurt Schilling.
to Kurt Schilling
Yeah.
in 2001 when he had 56. Yep. A 1.98 ERA in 6 appearances in the postseason. I mean, this guy was lights out, and he won 2 games. Obviously, Game 6 being the most meaningful, where he pitched 8 innings, which we were just talking about last week, right? We don't see that much. out of
Yeah,
pitchers.
right. I think, did I read correctly that was the first starting pitcher that's gone 8 innings in a World Series in 4 years?
Yes.
Did I see Matt
Yep.
Harvey,
Yep.
Mets?
Yes, that's the last time it happened. Yeah. But Strasburg wins World Series MVP, but now he is going to be a free agent
Now
because
he's headed to Boston.
he just
No. if there was no Chris Sale,
No.
then yeah,
Eh?
they would be after him.
they trade Chris Sale for him.
Oh my God! Stuff.
But yeah, he's a free agent now. He opts out of a 4-year, $100 million offer, which many could say is risky. However, there's pitchers that haven't been producing like he has, making $30, $33, $34 million. So he's most likely going to be in that range, if not $35 million. So he opts out most likely to try to increase his payday by $10+ million a year.
Yeah.
Well,
when
it
Go ahead.
is risky for a team because this was the first time he started every start. He
Yeah,
had 33 starts. He hasn't done that since 2014. He's always injured.
yeah.
I agree with Mike. It's riskier for the team that's going to be picking him up to a long deal than it is for him because sports is like a "what have you done for me lately" kind of thing,
Exactly.
and
Especially baseball.
now you've shown you can pitch at that elite level in a World Series and a playoff run.
Yeah.
He's going to get paid.
And he very well might, and we could see a team in the same situation that the Sox were in this year with Nathan Eovaldi, right? Where he wins them a series, or at least a game in a series, and saves them the series, and gets overpaid, and then here he is this year in a bullpen, not doing anything for the Sox. So, Strasburg obviously going to be a highly sought free agent. Also, another pitcher in the Astros. In the Astros organization, Garrett Cole. He's going to be a free agent,
And
as
he's
well.
gone.
And it sounds like he's gone.
He's gone. Strasburg could still sign with Washington
Yes.
to just a different deal, a bigger
Yep.
deal. But
But Garrett Cole, the way that his intentions seem, he's already kind of saying his goodbyes there in Houston and thanking the city and the fans for welcoming him in these last 2 years. And these 2 guys, I mean, these are 2 aces that are going to be on the market for a team that is out there looking for one and has the ability to pay him.
the team that needs him is the Yankees. Let's be
Yeah.
straight about it. They win in a championship with a guy like that, with the lineup they
Yeah.
have. Their pitchers were terrible.
They
Yeah.
fired their pitching coach.
Yeah. There's a good chance they're going to get one of these guys.
Yep. But the big controversy here of the World Series was the Astros having Garrett Cole up in the pen in Game 7. They're up 2-0. Looks like it's the 4th or 5th inning, I think. 5th inning. And they're up 2-0. They get Garrett Cole up in the pen. He never comes in.
Well, Greinke pitched incredibly in that game.
He did.
He gave up a solo home run in the 7th, 2-1. They went to Harris. Harris had gone like 10 innings without giving up a run. So it's hard to.
Yeah.
mean, we're looking after the fact of the result, but Harris was pitching lights out too.
He's
a reliever, and that's his role, and that's what he's accustomed to.
He came in first batter, though, right? And first batter was a 2-run home run?
He walked. Yes, it was because Greinke, after he gave up a home run, walked Soto,
and then they took him out.
But that's what I'm saying. The game was lost right there, pretty much. They fell behind, but
yeah. So the tying run goes against Greinke, but the go-ahead run goes against.
But how do you? It's hard to blame a guy for giving up a home run after 10 scoreless innings. He comes in. He's a reliever. That's what he does all the time. Comes in those situations.
But obviously, it's a common trend in sports to play Monday morning quarterback, right?
Oh, for sure.
To sit here and say, well, what could you have done better to, win the game ultimately and maintain your lead? And you got Garrett Cole, who is considered your ace in the pen, a guy that's an impending free agent. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to prove to him that he's your guy and that you have the confidence in him to go out there and win you the game. And who's to say he doesn't?
No, he might have, but that's a big second guess to put Cole in, man on first, 1 out. He's not a reliever. Here he comes. I mean, versus a guy you've trusted out of the pen all year to get those big outs.
Yeah, and the Astros defended it by saying that it wasn't part of their plan. The part of their plan was to use Cole as a last resort if they needed to in a certain set of certain situation.
I think it was and they wanted him to use him in a clean inning, to come out maybe 1-run lead, 9th inning or something like that.
Yeah. So 2 pitchers that'll obviously be highly sought in the market. We'll keep an eye on that in the baseball off season, which doesn't ever seem to be very long.
Nope.
But over in the NBA has been exactly what we expected it to be, right? We were excited about the NBA kicking off this year, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the Celtics. I'm enjoying watching the teams that have dominated year in and year out here for the last few years become bad teams again. And particularly the Golden State Warriors, a 1-5 start. As we know, obviously down Klay Thompson, lost Kevin Durant to free agency, and now they're without Steph Curry.
Right, and they lost other pieces. Sean Livingston retires. They trade Iguodala. These other key glue guys too. So I mean, this is just a shell of a team at this point.
And also, I mean, that D'Angelo Russell pickup is looking a little like it makes more sense now that everyone's down.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah, so they're going to have to lean on D'Angelo Russell a lot because Steph Curry's out with a broken hand, going to miss 3 months, which seems to be strange, right? This is kind of a common trend in basketball where an injury that we see in another sport will keep them out 4 to 6 weeks, and they always seem to be out an extended period of time in basketball and in baseball, really, too. Baseball making a little bit more sense with, such a long season, but basketball 3 months is half your season.
Yeah.
So, the Golden State Warriors are going to be without essentially their big 3.
Yeah.
Right, from last year. Obviously, they're not getting KD back. We know that, but Clay's going to be out the entire season. Now Steph's going to miss half a season. Can we expect Golden State to even make a playoff push?
Expect them to tank so they can retool.
Yeah,
that's the thing. We already seen that with Steph and Clay, they can be a championship level team with Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And if they're in the top 3 or 4 picks, I mean, NBA, that's where the impact guys are. They can be right back there next year as a title contender.
Yeah.
Easily.
And this week in the news, obviously, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there was an interview with Kevin Durant discussing his departure from Golden State and kind of opening up a little bit about that. And he mentions the incident with Draymond Green that we talked about on this show last year when Draymond had some choice words for him on the bench. And they asked him if that was part of the reason that he left, and he says absolutely, it weighs into it, because anytime a teammate can talk to you that way, it tells you what you need to know about that team or that guy. And he said it weighed in on his decision to leave. But he also said that he just felt like it was time because they were in a situation where they were having issues as a team and financially, where he knew that the organization wasn't going to be in a position to be able to pay all of those athletes to remain there. And that kind of caught me by surprise, because that really isn't a player issue, right? If you're a player, why are you making your decisions based on how the organization is going to pay other players? And it tells you a little bit about what you need to know about Kevin Durant as far as where his outlook is on the team. He just wants to be on a team that's going to be in contention all the time. He doesn't want to be back in an OKC situation.
Which can be good or bad. It can be viewed in a good light or in a bad light. He wants to win. I would want to win if I played on a team
and also you have to think, if he was back in an OKC situation, he'd be far better than what the Golden State Warriors are without Steph and Clay. So he sees that and goes, okay,
but
if two of these dudes leave, this team is the worst team in the NBA. Why would I stay here?
But then he went to the Brooklyn Nets, who aren't far off.
What's the big difference between Oklahoma City and, say, Brooklyn next year when he comes back in?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, I think Brooklyn and the OKC team he played for are far better than what. I mean, look at this. Look at the roster of the Warriors without Clay and Steph. It's garbage. It's a garbage roster. It's why they've ever lost in the finals, because they have no bench.
They've lost Andre Iguodala. They've lost Sean Livingston.
Yeah, those are key pieces. People forget. Yeah,
and those guys don't seem like they're huge role players for that team in the regular season.
Very important.
When this team gets to the postseason, those guys play a huge role, especially Iguodala.
Andre is a beast.
And Livingston too. Livingston came up big for them with some big buckets down.
Make sure Iguodala got the Finals MVP that year.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it seems strange to see the Golden State Warriors starting 1-5, but we're kind of seeing an end of an era as far as they go. And I don't think this year.
Well, is it though?
Yeah, I mean, when Steph and Clay come back, that'll stop.
But that's the thing, is Clay's not going to be back this year.
But I'm saying, if they get back in contention next year,
and Clay's back next year, but there's always the question of, will Clay be the same player he was?
Yeah, there's coming off injury. That's always the case. I mean, Kevin Durant too,
especially defensively, right?
Too.
You're not going to lose your shot because you tore your ACL, but defensively, he may not be the defensive juggernaut that was Klay Thompson.
If he's not, I say that's human error. I say he's either being lazy or he didn't do what he had to do. This is a paper cut nowadays. This is nothing.
I don't know, man.
You're getting older. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, I'm sure, to recover.
His muscle fibers and everything he has, they're not that of the common person. They heal differently. Everything is different.
And there's a mental aspect to an injury.
It's fact. It's just fact, dude. He runs faster, jumps higher. It isn't because he's got whether it's more fast twitch muscle fibers or whatever it is. It's different than the common person.
That may be.
It's fact. It just is.
Well, that may be true, but I'm pretty sure he's not going to be playing against the common person.
No, you're right. But an ACL. I mean, listen, I'll tell you what. If this was a running back in the NFL and it was an ACL, this is a non-issue. Basketball, maybe you're a little softer, whatever. But
he may come back. He may come back and be great, but it's just something to look at.
Yeah.
How there's a mental component to injury.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
look at Gordon Hayward, right? Look at Gordon Hayward.
Soft as baby shit.
We went a whole season seeing Gordon Hayward being bad, essentially. 13 points a game.
He only had some glimmers, but he already looks
Is Gordon Hayward even still on the Celtics? Like,
this year he looks unbelievable. Great. Yeah, he looks great this year.
Great.
He's already had a few 25-plus point games in 5 games. And the Celtics look better.
Kemba's looking very good.
This is what we talked about last year in the show. It's addition by subtraction, right? You can get better losing a premier talent like Kyrie Irving.
Yes, as long as you get 85 cents on the dollar. You can't replace him with 50 cents, but they got 85, 90 cents on that dollar.
Yeah.
And the other stuff might be worth more than the other 10 cents you've given up.
I'm thinking of a 50-cent reference I could have thrown out there.
All right.
Didn't fit.
No.
All right. But yeah, Kemba's been looking great. He had the slow start in game 1.
Yeah, but he's had all 30 and 20 point games since.
Yeah, he's been unreal. He's working the ball around, and those guys like him. That's the difference.
You can see it watching the game. I see it.
You can see the chemistry that the team has already built in a short amount of time, and you can see that there's genuine interest in relationships outside of basketball with these guys.
Which is big.
Where Jason Tatum hits the game-winning shot the other night against the Knicks, and they ask him about getting the pass and him taking the shot, and Kemba comes up behind him, and they're interviewing, and Kemba's like shaking his shoulders, and they ask him about Kemba, and he says, "Oh, that's my guy."
Yeah.
Like they genuinely like this guy.
Kemba actually said, "I'm happy that I can actually kind of, I guess he's throwing the Charlotte people in, but I can give up this shot at the end of the game. Because last year, if I was in Charlotte, I would have taken this shot, for example. And he was so happy I didn't have to take it.
No, I don't have a problem with him saying that, though. Because it's like
good.
You need to not have your point guard taking this shot. I beat this point to death as far as basketball goes. Your point guard shouldn't be taking the last shot. If he is, then you need to get some depth around
And
him.
this is the fact, the reason why the Celtics can be better without Kyrie is these guys like Jason Tatum who want to be the guy to take the last shot and who can be the guy to take the last shot have that opportunity now, right? Because Kyrie's gone, and Kemba's a guy that's like, I don't need the fame and the big lights. I have no problem passing this ball off to Jason Tatum to let him take a game-winning shot. And if we don't make it, we don't make it. He's not a guy that's going to call him out after the game for not making the shot.
Yeah, that's why that's so important. Like I'm saying, so you lose 15 cents, but Jason Tatum grows by 10 cents, and Jaylen Brown grows by 10 cents, and this guy grows by 10 cents, and now you're ahead of the game.
Now you got $2.
Now you can get a value meal.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Instead of just one thing.
And they've been a lot.
Run out and get us one. Good.
They've been a lot more fun to watch this year too. They're just more. They're a more likable team this year than they were last year. And Kyrie is already in the news with Brooklyn with his antics already. And we talked about it.
Oh, you're gonna make me defend them again.
We talked about it last week. Last week we said on this show, if he can make it a season without Kevin Durant, without ruining the team, then he'll be in good shape. And we're 5 games in, and he's already created a scene in Brooklyn. And team owners are already saying that they're kind of worried about basically his up and down antics and behavior.
It's hard to figure out. It really is hard to figure out.
Yeah, this guy, he has no rhyme or reason to why he is the way he is.
He's probably just got a problem.
And the team, he definitely has a problem. But the team, the Brooklyn Nets even said, they're like, we don't know why like he has these issues, like his outbursts. Like there's been no preliminary things that lead up to why he would act out, but he just does. And it's perfect for the Celtics. I love it because there was so much heat on the Celtics for getting rid of Kyrie and bringing in Kemba, and he's half the player, and you know what, he may be.
He's more than that.
He is, but whether or not he is or not is out of the question.
I'd say he's like 80% the player.
Yeah. But this guy is the Nets officials are already concerned about his long-term well-being in that team, basically. 5 games into a season.
6 games.
You're just medicating.
So the question for me is,
in his hometown,
does he have a problem? Like, does this guy have an internal problem that needs to be addressed?
Yeah,
does he not get along with people? Because Kevin Durant comes out in that interview and says he's a great teammate. I mean, I know they haven't actually, but is he that disliked already by these people over there? Does he have a mood disorder? What is the story? And it's so hard to figure out what it is.
I think he has a mood disorder, and just medicate him. There you go. Later.
He definitely has some
but the question is,
does
he if that's the case, does he have any insight? Was he going to accept that? Is he defensive? Like, I don't know. There's so much there that could be going on.
We got to get Mike on. We got to get Mike on the case.
He's not going to accept it. That's a fact. I mean, if he's have you ever heard of Kyrie saying, I did this wrong, I did that wrong? No.
He came from vulnerability. You don't grow unless you get vulnerable. I'm saying that every week on the show.
He came from
about
Cleveland.
Every guy that has these problems.
He came from Cleveland, and it was LeBron did this, LeBron did that. They treated me this way. It was never I did this wrong or I could have done this better.
I did hear it a little bit a couple of weeks ago when he said that he didn't handle Boston that well. When he said, like, I don't know if it was the grandfather, he was going, kind of grieving the loss of somebody in his life, and that he didn't handle it well.
Yeah.
He did say that.
Yeah, but there's the realization that you didn't handle it well, but then there's the actions of correcting those mistakes, and he didn't do any of that, right? Like he's now in Brooklyn, and
that's what I'm saying. If he does the same things again, I mean, they're not beholden to helping him recover from whatever he's got going on over and over.
The whole he's in his hometown, he'll be happy. He's gonna play with Kevin Durant. He'll be happy, and here we are, 6 games in.
I wonder if being in your hometown has drawbacks too.
Well, for a guy like Kyrie, being in the New York market, it doesn't seem like it's going to help.
Right, and then he's
No.
probably got his buddy and all these people.
And he
could
hated the
be good
Boston
at-
media, which is
Yeah. Yeah. You go,
almost like New York, but New York's another animal.
Yeah. How is a guy like Kyrie going to ever survive in the New York media, right? When everything you do is questioned or scrutinized, or the
Right.
guy doesn't have the mental stability to handle that. He doesn't. And
Maybe Brooklyn was hoping, okay, maybe teaming up with Kevin Durant would help them be more in line. A 10-time All-Star on his side.
Yeah.
yeah.
And maybe that's the case next season. And right now he's almost in a similar situation
Yeah.
with all these young kids.
But
He's
like,
a young kid.
like I mentioned last week, I think he's going to ruin that potential with Kevin Durant before he even gets to play with him. That's going to be the problem. Is he's going to put himself on the outs with the organization and his teammates before Kevin Durant can come in and save the day.
Yeah, and can he defer to Kevin Durant after he gets another year to kind of
Exactly.
score
And he-
the
and he
40 and
won't.
50
And he-
points?
and he won't.
Durant's a bit of a surly guy too. So
Exactly.
there's other aspects of
Without
what
a
that
doubt.
relationship's
Yeah.
going to be like next season.
Without a doubt. He's had his own issues with teammates, James Harden and Draymond Green over in Golden
Westbrook.
State. Yep, Westbrook.
Yeah, for sure.
And let's get into the NFL, and I'll spend our last hour here on the NFL. Obviously, we're going to go over our picks and games and such, and hot take for the week, or the Miami Dolphins pick, maybe. We'll get into that, but
Let's go.
let's talk.
Get that win,
let's talk
baby.
about the Cleveland Browns for a second, because the Cleveland Browns were so hyped coming into the season. Right? Baker Mayfield adding all these weapons, new head coach, all these defensive studs, great receiving core, and it hasn't been put together. And Cleveland is 2-5.
2-5.
Still not out
Yep.
of it.
No, still
No,
not.
they're still
out.
not out of it, no.
But they're one win away from that swing where their season's either going to be 2 and whatever, or they're going to turn it around and become a playoff team.
Oh,
Well, they're
I know
facing
which
a
way I'm
2-6
leaning.
Denver team. That's a way to get yourself back into the swing of things.
Yeah, this Baker stuff is the Brown stuff. I mean, it's weird for me because I don't know where to go. There's a lot of like logical places I can go with this.
How about into your microphone? being the
Logical
first-
places. You've never been there before.
So the big thing is that we have on the board is that he's calling out teammates. Well, maybe the teammates aren't doing what they're supposed to do. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. I don't have a camera behind him when he's throwing the ball to see the routes they're running. Is he playing well? No. Could this be a sophomore slump? I mean, it's a real occurrence. It happens. Yeah, it could
Especially with quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks take too much of the responsibility
Yeah.
either way. Did he fumble that ball 2-3 times last week?
But he is playing bad.
yeah, he is.
Sure,
He's part of it.
Sure,
He's part of it.
absolutely. But
But the pressure's on when other things aren't going well. Hey,
But-
I got to do more maybe than I would.
But we've seen this before, and people are so quick to forget we've seen it. Peyton Manning had a pretty god awful rookie season in terms of efficiency.
Yeah,
Cam Newton's second season, he went from best rookie year of all time to a horrible second season, and then later won an MVP. This is something we see with quarterbacks a lot. It's not that weird. So
Sophomore slump.
you should not be pulling any plugs on Baker. He also has a rookie head coach who has proved nothing in the NFL. He's proved nothing. He's not a marquee coordinator. He's not anything. And then he's got guys like OBJ who might be kind of freelancing. He's hard to deal with a little bit. We don't exactly know how the other young players on the team are playing. So when he does things like call guys out, like too many guys not doing their job, I don't know if that's true or not, because I don't know what the play is when he calls it. I don't know what's happening in the locker room. I don't know what's happening at practice. Maybe he's right. But because he's the only one complaining, people see this and be like, oh, he's being a baby. Well, it's like, nah, I think a quarterback of all people on a team should hold the rest of the team accountable. That's his job. He's the leader. Whether it's the defense or the offense, the quarterback's job is to hold people accountable. And if he's got a point in what he's saying, then I'm all for it. If it's coming from a place of frustration in himself and he's just picking on things that aren't there, then that's another story. But I don't know. And we won't know until A, this season concludes, or B, we see them play next year, where it could be a huge blow. They could be the best team in the league next year.
They could.
It's the first year of them playing all together, so who knows?
See, the thing with a team like the Cleveland Browns, young, extremely talented team, they have talent at every position. They have depth at talent. They have a roster that should, on paper, be in an AFC Championship game. However, they have a first-year head coach with essentially no experience.
Who also isn't a marquee coordinator. Like I said, he's not
Yes.
someone that people are like, oh, it's Freddie Kitchens.
And-
No one knows who he is.
And when you have a team of this much talent and pedigree and guys with personality like Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr., huge personality, right? You need a strong-minded, open coach who's going to tell these guys what they need to hear. And I don't think Freddie Kitchens is that guy. And I have a graphic up here on the screen. Compared to last season through 7 games, a team last year that wasn't nearly as good as they are this year on paper, right? They have a worse record, fewer passing yards, fewer passing touchdowns, fewer rushing yards, fewer points scored, fewer defensive interceptions, and a lower third down conversion percentage with a better team.
Yeah, and that happens a lot of times in the NFL because it can be a curse to have all that talent.
And people like to trash Hugh Jackson, but you know what Hugh Jackson is? A well-known coach who's a veteran.
Yeah, well, in this situation, they would have been better off with Hugh Jackson.
No, Greg Williams.
Oh, without a doubt.
Sure.
Without a doubt.
But I'm
Without
saying
a doubt.
if Hugh Jackson never got fired, I mean,
Well, yeah.
they're way better.
They would have
off.
been better.
Yeah.
But I said the same thing. I said Greg Williams should have got the job.
They would have been a more
He's-
mentally tough team.
He's known around this league. He's got pedigree. It's just foolish to not make him. It was stupid. The whole thing was the players love Freddie. It's like I don't care if they like him. I want my players to hate me and play for me. I don't give a shit if they like me.
Well,
What does that mean? I don't care if you like
Well,
me.
the players it's like anything else, right?
They'll play,
when
yeah.
you love your boss at work, it's probably
I'll
because
work
he
out for you, yeah.
but it's probably because he lets you do whatever you want to do too.
A little bit of that, yeah.
or
And- but there's also
the
work-
person's fair,
but
though.
there
Or
is-
the person's fair.
It could be.
True, but I think the point of doing the Freddie Kitchens thing was they thought what you just said. Maybe they'll work harder for this guy.
Sure.
But sometimes it's he's cool.
But
You know,
I like the head. If you're going to hire a head coach, I like to give him at least 3 seasons, unless he's agreed. There's like something egregious that is going on.
Being
there.
2-5 with this roster is egregious.
So here's the thing.
It is, but is it all on him though? I'm sure there's a lot of factors as to why they're 2-5.
So I would like to agree with you as far as the 3-season thing. When I don't agree with it in this case because it's Freddie Kitchens. Let's use Hugh Jackson again. If Hugh Jackson was just picked up by a team, I would say give him 3 seasons. He's a veteran coach who's well known, who needs to install what he does. Freddie Kitchens is nothing, and until you prove you're something, even if it's just being a coordinator, I don't have to give you anything.
I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying I like the
I-
idea of giving a guy 3 years
I
because maybe he
understand
gets
that.
better too.
I
when
understand
other
that, but I
things
also
are-
don't want to waste 3 years of Nick Chubb when running backs have a small shelf life.
Of course not.
I
But
don't want
none of us know the answer. So like the changes for teams like the bad teams in the NFL are the teams that are constantly changing.
Sure.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. At least give somebody a chance to
Well,
install
yeah.
what they want to do for a few seasons.
Well, we talked about this like once before, and I said unless someone big comes up. So you want to give Kitchens his years based on the rule of you should? Fine. I'll get behind it. Mike Tomlin gets fired this offseason. You fire Freddie Kitchens immediately and you get Mike Tomlin, in my opinion.
I'm not saying there's never an exception to him.
Yeah.
Just generally
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the guy to say he's horrific yet. There's not-
Mike Tomlin is I don't whatever happened with AB happened, but Mike Tomlin is a tough dude and he is a good coach and he could put a team and make them good for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, what happened with AB for Tomlin? I mean, I look at that and it's like you can't change
He's
another
so
person.
No, no.
he's
You
such a
can't change
volatile
it.
guy. You can't
You
control.
can't change
Well,
another person
it's-
like that.
I
Like,
the fact that Tomlin was able to keep AB at bay as
is
long as
already-
he
is
did
always is a feather in
impressive-
his cap to me.
is
Yeah,
impressive
if he had that.
in and of itself.
I mean, look at
Yeah.
this way: Bill Belichick,
Yeah.
the goat of all things that comes to players and coaching, couldn't handle him for more than a game.
it was too far
so-
gone at that point. It was
He
too
was
far
like, "I'm
gone.
done with this, dude. I'm not even doing it." So like, it goes. So I think what this means is a lot of people are trashing Tomlin, saying he can't control his locker room. And after seeing the Pats cut him so quickly and the Raiders cut him, I think it goes to Tomlin. And go, oh, this wasn't on you. This guy's just too volatile to control. This is basically the point I was
and
trying
that's
to
only
make.
one of 53.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and this is a Cleveland Browns team that has at least 3-4 of those guys.
At least, I mean,
You
just
know, you
because because we know the names of guys that are like that doesn't mean there aren't
Yeah.
lots of other guys in the locker room.
And
like
I don't
that.
know about 3-4.
that we know of.
I know OBJ's a lot like that. Okay. But Baker's just outspoken. I wouldn't say he's like that.
But Baker has his own issues within the media, right? Because he hasn't figured this out yet.
Well, he's
And-
young.
And I don't know how many of you saw the O.J. Simpson thing on.
I watch everything related to
so
O.J.
so
Simpson.
it was on Halloween, O.J.
Of course
Simpson.
it was.
O.J. Simpson dressed up like Pat Mahomes, and
Oh God.
he did an interview and he says, "Hey, it's O.J. Mahomes here," and he's going on and on.
Coming at you live from the crime scene.
And he's talking about Baker, and he says, what he says about Baker is he says, Baker, you need to understand that these media people aren't asking you a question for the answer. They're asking you a question for the response. Like they ask you these dumb questions that make you angry so that you get angry and give them the response that they want. And when you realize that that's what's happening, you're going to be better at this because you're getting yourself angry. And whether you think it's not translating to your play on the field, it is, because he's being forced into anger into interviews because of his play on the field. And he's allowing that to get to him. And that's shown into your play on the field, your teammates, everything.
And let's be honest, you put a microphone in front of a 22-year-old kid after they just lost the game 5 minutes ago. Yeah. What do you expect kind of answers you get?
And then you ask him silly questions, right?
A couple things here.
Of course.
A couple things
that's their job, too.
If Baker has any balls at all, he'll respond with that, saying, hey, you shouldn't kill people before you give out advice. And then number two, I disagree with the whole translate into the field because it can, and a lot of times it does, but it doesn't mean it is. It's not for certain. I think somebody can get aggravated like that and it not translate. These two things could be separate.
Yeah, but the emotional response is what they're looking for.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is this. That may be what they're looking for, but you can have an emotional response and then go win the Super Bowl. Having an emotional response is not hurting his career. It's just making people make fun of him on the internet. It's not doing shit.
Yes, but when you're 22 years old and you're constantly in the media in a negative light for your outrageous replies or outbursts on a news conference.
Here comes more microphones.
That's all over anything NFL related, sports, Facebook, whatever, Twitter, people talking about it in the media. And it's going to lead to your next interview being that way and the one after that. Because now once you become that volatile interview guy, they're going to keep pushing your buttons.
They're going to be more people that are going to request you, want to give you media attention.
So when you become the Bill Belichick of the media, and when someone asks you an extremely dumb question and you stare them in the face without a reply, that goes a lot further than giving them the emotional response that they want. Because guess what? Now people are actually afraid to ask Bill Belichick those questions, right? Or they know when they ask him those questions, they're going to get the next question over and over again.
Which I don't like either, because that's part of the job. It is. But it's factually part of the job.
But when you bring nothing to the table and you're trying to solicit an emotional response without caring about any other fact that comes out of my mouth, then I don't have an answer for you.
I know, but that's what you just said. You said it's part of the job, and you bring nothing to the table.
Yeah, that's the point. It's a wasted interview. So why should I waste time on your question when there's people here that have genuine questions?
But I feel like you can tactfully answer a question.
No, of course.
Bill Parcells was the master of it.
Bill Parcells was great. He's interesting. You want to hear him talk. He gives you an answer.
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Your microphone's not on.
I don't.
You must have shut it off because you constantly move it, dude. No, there's a switch under that thing.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it's under this thing.
Yes, there you go. Stop moving it around every 2 seconds.
Yeah, I don't care too much about the whole interview thing. I care about what he's going to do on the field. And,
I do too, more than that.
But your players are going to judge you based on how you act and how you perform, right? If you act like you're a 22-year-old child, then that's how they're going to treat you.
All right, and then you know what? That goes to show that maybe there's more problems than Baker, because as a bunch of veterans and other guys on the team, you have to realize and see, hey, he's 22. I was 22 in this league once. Hey, we all grow. That's what you should be thinking, not, oh, look how he's acting.
Yeah. But when your roster,
your team's going to suck otherwise.
When your roster's full of 22-year-old immature players, or guys like OBJ who are veterans but haven't ever matured, then
that's when guys like that O-line or Olivier Vernon need to step up and be like, hey, listen.
We're talking about OBJ who hands a set of cleats to the opposing team's quarterback in front of his own quarterback. I mean, this team is just a mess in all aspects.
Yeah. Which is foolish. OBJ's a fool for that. You could have mailed him that. Like, there's nothing wrong with giving him a gift if you admire him and even calling him the GOAT and even saying he's better than your quarterback. Yeah. None of that's wrong. Do it after the game. Do it, like, mail it to him. Do something like that. Like, it's stupid. And the reason why OBJ's an idiot is because, dude, you're a generational talent. You've rewritten the history books as far as receivers go in terms of like mossing was a thing. Like that became a thing. It's still a thing. The whole one-hand catch thing has been going on forever, but for some reason, people didn't really take notice till you did it. And now it's like OBJing. Like you had a chance to go to a market where you were going to be the guy again and take it over for years to come. And now you're looking that you might get traded or so like you're being an idiot. Just don't be an idiot.
And I think
even if you are struggling and it's not your fault you're struggling, because I don't think it is. I'm sure the game plan's why OBJ's not doing well because we see him blow up when the ball goes to him. But dude, it'll get better. It'll get better. Relax. It's his second season and it's the coach's first season.
And I feel like Baker was kind of targeting guys like OBJ when he made the comment, "There's too many guys not focused on doing their job." Right? It's like almost like he's saying outside distractions are our problem. And we've known that to be an OBJ issue throughout his career with the whole boat trip before the playoff game.
Yeah.
Where he did all kinds of gay stuff. Nah, it's conjecture.
Well, yeah.
It's merely speculation.
Yeah, the Browns. I mean, as we've discussed, the Browns have a tough schedule, and I believe it starts to get easier now at this point. But
Yeah, it does.
if you finish anything less than you did last year, which was 8-8, right? Were they 9-7?
Browns not making the playoffs.
That was
Come
No,
on.
7.
they were.
I don't know, man.
Or like
They're-
8, 7.
They're not making-
the AFC
Yeah.
sucks
Browns
and that division sucks.
Browns not making the playoffs.
They might. Who knows?
Oh, they're not
Well,
making the
I mean,
The
the
Bills
Ravens.
made it.
The Ravens
the
are going to take
Bills
the
made
division.
it at
obviously.
9-7 a couple years ago. Man.
Browns not making the playoffs.
No, the Browns aren't making
They're
it.
Well,
not
here's
making
the
the
schedule.
playoffs.
All right. It's easy to
Denver
say. I'm just saying
today.
it can happen.
Denver today.
They'll have Buffalo at home, which will be tough, especially against their defense.
They'll beat them.
At Buffalo?
No,
That
You
one's
think
Cleveland.
Cleveland's
it's in
at home?
Cleveland.
Okay, they have a chance.
Oh, they're winning that game.
Home against
Maybe.
the Steelers,
Maybe.
Home against the
It's beginning
Dolphins.
To begin to unravel for the
at the
Bills.
Steelers,
Loss.
home against the Bengals,
Win.
at the Cardinals,
Yeah.
home against the Ravens, who they
They're not making the
trounced
playoffs.
40-25,
Yeah, they're not
They're
going to
not
beat the
making the
Ravens.
playoffs.
and then
They're
at the
not making
Bengals.
playoffs.
I mean, in theory, the only game they should lose there is the Ravens. The only game they should lose there is Ravens. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to beat the Steelers twice with a second string
I doubt
quarterback.
they'll win both games against the Steelers.
I doubt they
Steelers
will.
seem to be putting
but
it together. a
They
little bit.
should. Both games against the Bengals.
Yeah.
They should. The Cardinals. I mean,
At the Cardinals? Cardinals will play better than the Browns this
the
season.
Cardinals almost beat the Niners.
Cardinals have been better than the Browns this season.
Hey,
They won't make the playoffs. Let's
All right, man. They probably won't.
I think I picked them to win the division.
I did.
All right.
I
So-
had them
I
as a
did.
wi- I had them
bad.
as a wild card with Pittsburgh.
All
winning
right.
the
So
division.
they're 3 games behind Baltimore. So they 3 games. They're not going to make that up.
No.
So that
There's no chance
So
they're
there's
winning the
4 of the
division.
6 slots, right? There's 4 division winners. They're not going to be one of them.
No.
Buffalo's 5-2.
Buffalo's
I don't
not-
care what anybody.
Buffalo
Buffalo's
Buffalo ends with a losing record. You heard it here first.
maybe, but Buffalo's 5-2. Cleveland's 2-5. I'm just saying that's 3 games difference right now.
I think Buffalo is going to. I actually said a few weeks ago Buffalo was going to end 11-5.
They might, but they're going to end ahead of Cleveland.
Their schedule is stupid easy.
But they're going to end ahead of Cleveland.
Oh, without a doubt. They're going to. Cleveland's not making the playoffs. I know that.
Cleveland is behind almost everybody.
There could-
the Chargers are ahead of Cleveland.
There
right
could
now.
very well be 3 playoff teams from the AFC South.
The biggest thing here,
Yep.
we're focusing on
Yep.
the wrong thing. They shouldn't
Yep.
be looking to make the playoffs. They should be looking to win their
A game.
record. Look to win a game and then look to get a winning record. Look to get 9 wins. That's it. That's what they should be focused on right now. If you come out of the season with 9 wins, that's a huge W for your quarterback. That's going to make him feel great. Like, hey, we were 2-5. We turned it
I
around.
agree. Win the game you're playing today.
Yeah, in
at
order
this
for
point.
Baker in order for the Browns to turn around, Baker has to play better.
Yeah.
How many
They all
picks
have to
did he
play
has? He has over 10 picks
12
already. I
picks.
believe.
They all
12
have to play
picks, yeah.
better.
But he
and I think
didn't-
7 touchdowns.
But you know what? Those have to come at some point in a guy's career, and they didn't come his first year, so they're coming his second year. It happens.
Yeah, he's playing bad though. I mean,
Yeah.
the pitch forward last week that was an
Lord-
awful
Lord help us.
interception.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of mental mistakes.
But we also
That
had
are on
but we
Baker
also had a big bruising running back fumble twice.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the conditions though. That's
No, it's not, dude. It's manning up. When you bust a 60-yard run and fumble 3 outs from the end zone, that's your fault.
no, without
That's
a
your
doubt.
fault.
But I mean,
Switch hands.
we were watching that game here live, and I told you before any plays even happened, there was the coin toss, and I told you this game is going to be a fumble fest. It's a wet, sloppy game with a team that's very
did the Pats
inexperienced.
fumble? But did the Pats fumble? That's
You
my
didn't Let me
point.
finish my point. I said with a team that's very inexperienced and young, it's gonna be a fumble fest, and it was.
Okay, but the running back they're giving the ball to in Michelle is just as inexperienced.
But he's playing for a team that's experienced and a coach that's experienced.
All right.
They never fumble.
But the coach isn't holding the ball. He is.
No, you're right.
What I'm saying is he did dumb shit.
There's situational awareness and practices for those situations. And I saw it. I saw it in news clips of the Pats this week with N'Keal Harry coming back. Right? This guy hasn't played all season, missed training camp, missed the entire first 8 weeks of the season, missed the whole offseason essentially. And they have him running drills, holding the ball, and guys running up on him trying to slap it out. That's situational football. That's how you prepare for a game in the rain. Those are things that great coaches and great teams do, where the Browns and Freddie Kitchens aren't doing that. It's clear. You don't prepare for a game that way and come into the game and fumble 3-4 times like that. If you prepared for that, you don't.
Yeah. No, I agree. They're well prepared, well coached.
Sure,
we know this. I mean, 20 years of this. It's absolutely.
And I called it before it even happened. I said it was going to be a fumble fest the Browns.
It can't just be luck. It's happening all the time.
The thing is, I could let the first fumble go with Chubb, but the second fumble is what put the game away, because that goes into a touchdown, which makes the game a game.
Yeah.
And then momentum shifts, and then things change, and then your offense changes.
For sure. You can't make those errors.
Especially a 60-yard run that you fumble on the 3-yard line.
Right. It's devastating.
That changes the game without a doubt. Yeah. The Texans on right now, obviously, in London without J.J. Watt for the third year out of the last 4. 3 out of the last 4 years, he's gone down season-ending injury.
He finished last year, right? He finished the season
last year might have been the year that he didn't. But
Texans are up 19-3 at the end of the third.
Sweet.
All right. Good to go. But yeah, J.J. Watt out injured again. This is a sad story for a guy that is a two-time
who might be the best defensive end of
two-time defensive MVP. I mean, this guy, defensive player of the year. This guy is a premier talent in the league and in the history of the league.
He's a legend.
Really.
He's absolutely a legend.
And he unfortunately can't stay on the field. I mean, the stats that this guy's racked up with the amount of years that he's missed of football is actually absolutely incredible.
He's throwing other DNs a handicap.
He's the Gronk on defense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a great analogy actually for him. Chargers fire Ken Wisenhunt. No surprise there. The Chargers' record is
after a 3-5. After a win,
3-5.
After a win.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to start jumping on my bandwagon of Phillip Rivers isn't who we thought he was.
Yeah,
and he never was.
And a lot of this too is on Phillip.
He's a trumped up Eli Manning. We're gonna hate on Eli, but not on Phillip. That's bullshit to me.
Well, Eli's actually won.
Eli's got Super, but everyone likes to say Eli's trash and doesn't deserve to be Hall of Fame. If you tell me right now Phillip Rivers ain't making the Hall of Fame, I'll call you a liar because he is, and he's no better than Eli.
Oh, well,
this dude has not been able to win with amazing teams.
They'll both make it.
He has not been able to win with amazing teams, and no one sees it. If you watch him play, his trash throwing motion that never got corrected shows the most when he gets blitzed. I've never seen a veteran QB who can't handle the blitz. Phillip Rivers can't. I've never seen it. You blitz Tom Brady and you've hurt yourself. You blitz good quarterbacks, hurt yourself. You blitz Phillip Rivers like the Ravens did last year and the first time they played, and Phillip Rivers doesn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah, I mean, Mike made mention of them firing him after a win, but it's the 3 straight losses prior to that are the reason why this guy gets fired. You lose to the Broncos, bad team this year. You lose to the Steelers with a 3rd-string quarterback, and Mason Rudolph was out for this game.
Yeah.
You lose to the Titans. I mean, 3 games in a row.
They're really a mess. They have no home field advantage. The other teams
all one-score games.
We're talking about a team that was in the AFC Championship last year. And you're losing to the
and that AFC Championship team got beat by what, 30?
No, they didn't go to the championship.
No, I'm sorry, divisional round. They got beat by 30 to the Pats.
Well, no, it was 38-7.
Yeah.
Then they got garbage points.
Yeah. So we're gonna say 38-7.
Yeah, I was on a cruise when that was happening.
And you know what, man?
I came on that episode the next week.
I'm sorry because I've liked him my whole life, but after last year and seeing, after the last 2 years, I've come to realize Phillip Rivers is just no better than Eli Manning.
Which is fine. Which is perfectly fine. They're both good players. They're probably both going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Which is fine. That's okay. Right. But you need to come to the realization he's not going to win.
What he's saying
he's not like guys like
he can win, but he's not going to lead you there.
He's not like guys who could have and were robbed in other ways, whether it be injury or bad coaching or bad ownership. He is guys who's had the teams has gotten there, and then he doesn't get it done. That's the part that's annoying.
I mean, when you're comparing him with Eli, he's had the better statistical career.
Yeah.
Where Eli has led the league in picks 3 times.
Yeah, for sure. But know what else Eli did? He turned it on in the Super Bowl twice.
Yeah.
Where this dude couldn't even turn it on against the Ravens with a rookie QB who can't throw the ball.
Yeah.
Like, it's disgusting. It really is gross.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to say is you get quarterbacks who get bad mouth because they can't win the big game, right?
And then guys who don't.
You got guys like Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers who across their careers can't win the big game. And
I don't love that statement because what's the big game? So when Matt Ryan wins
a playoff game.
So when Matt Ryan wins an NFC Championship game, did he not win a big game?
No, yeah.
Yes,
no, absolutely.
But over his career, he hasn't been. He was until that Super Bowl run where he won 2 of his 4 playoff wins of his career.
No, I get it, but you're in a lot of big games. You win some, and you certainly lose some, and you're not.
There are guys.
Are you responsible for the loss? And
Look,
you got to look at it.
I think Matt Ryan has 3 playoff wins in his career, and 2 of them came in the same season.
I'm going to name 2 dudes right now.
That's a guy that can't win the big game.
I'm going to name 2 dudes right now who I think were robbed, and they in no way.
Matt Ryan should have won that Super Bowl. Stop. That was the coaching staff. We know that.
All right,
Oh,
but
yeah.
hey, but
Let's
you
take
know
a
what,
7-step drop.
But at the same time, are you just some nobody? Are you the MVP of the league? Do you have any pull? Do you have any nutsack? Are you just going to let your coaches lose you this game? Or are you going to do something as simple as this as the blitz comes in?
I get it.
Hey, we kick a field goal and win. That's it. Just drop it.
But there's a lot of factors in winning a big game.
Yeah,
a lot of reasons to
I'm gonna name 2 QBs that I think were robbed over the course of their careers, and they do not reflect how I feel about them head to head. They don't even compare head to head in terms of who's better. No, Dan Marino, through no fault of his own, never won.
A little bit of fault, only because I'm
not sure
they ever wanted to put a big time back with him, which would have been awesome because they wanted to sling the ball around a little much.
So I'll put a little bit on both because the second guy I'm about to name did botch a snap. The second guy I'm about to name did botch a snap. Antonio Romo.
Did you just put Marino and Romo together? I hate you, man.
Did you not listen? Do you listen when I talk? Did I not preface with
no, usually I try not to. No,
they don't compare. I didn't say that.
I know. I'm just kidding.
So
keep going.
Romo, if you watched him and you're not just a guy who reads the news and hates the Cowboys, played well in all his playoff games. He had
1 bad playoff game.
Okay, but he played in how many? At least in 8, 9?
No, 5, I think.
No, he played in more.
5 or 6. 5 or 6.
So he played well in all of them. We had multiple drop touchdowns. We had a game against the Vikings where he was sacked 7 times. We had drop passes. We had just disgust. We had bad reffing in one of them. We had things that were not and then injury over the course of his career. Bad ownership over the course of his career.
Right.
Yeah,
multiple factors. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they get too much credit and too much blame.
Yes. So now let's go to Phillip Rivers.
I think it's 4. No?
You were the Patriots bitch over the LT time that he was there. How?
Yeah.
How were you the Pats bitch, dude?
Everybody's losing to the Pats, though. There's no shame in losing to the Pats.
Everyone didn't have a roster like they had. They didn't have a prime Vincent Jackson with LaDainian Tomlinson, Antonio Gates.
No, they had good teams, but
the teams
no
weren't
shame
like
in losing to the Patriots.
And then this current Chargers roster, nasty. Like losing to the Patriots, but you lost by 30 to the Patriots in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, that's
disgusting.
That goes to show
you couldn't muster 7 points. More than 7 points.
They lost
Phillip?
because of a Troy Brown making a strip fumble.
Right.
They
would have won that one.
That speaks more to me of being outcoached than being outplayed. Losing 30-7 in the professional level.
It's like feels unprepared.
But when you are an almost 40-year-old coach, you yourself, quarterback, you yourself are a head coach. You've seen it all. You know it all. How are you still getting tricked? How are you still being tricked?
But when you're putting Anthony Lynn up against Bill Belichick,
but at this level of his career, Anthony Lynn means nothing to him. He's too old and too smart for Anthony Lynn, so he has seen it all, is what I'm saying. How are corner blitzes still messing you up, Phillip Rivers? How are you still not checking that? I don't get it.
I mean,
it's disgusting.
There's quarterbacks that don't have the ability to play to the big game, and I think that's a real thing. I think a guy like Phillip Rivers and a guy like Matt Ryan don't do well under the pressure.
And then Matt Ryan, another guy who I call overrated. Look at the roster he has right now, and look at that record. We're just going to say, it's terrible coaching?
No,
it is terrible coaching. You're right. The coaching sucks, but
everything.
That team never recovered from that Super Bowl loss.
They didn't.
They never recovered from that.
They didn't.
Hey, what's the worst record Dak ever started with?
2-5 last year. Probably.
2-5.
Yeah.
What are the Falcons at right now?
Well, they have 1 win.
Okay, they have 1 win. So Dak Prescott,
1-7.
who I think is consensus, not even in the same league as Matt Ryan, everyone thinks, right? Okay.
Ryan's better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair. I think we'll all
Ryan's
agree
a
with
better
that.
quarterback.
I think we'll all agree with that. I think the whole world would. I think he's considered an elite
If I had to
quarterback in
pick
some
one,
circles.
if I had to pick a quarterback for the playoffs, though, I'd pick Dak
So
Prescott.
okay, so here's the point I'm making. Dak's never been worse than
Depends on the
2-5. He's never been worse than 2-5, and he's got the worst coaching staff in the league.
But he has an
Nah.
equivalent roster to
Debatable.
No.
Debatable.
Falcons.
Okay, but Dak's also a baby in terms of football.
Yeah,
Matt Ryan's 30 years old.
it's older than that.
You're-
Drafted in 08.
That's what I'm saying.
So, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, are you really elite, Matt Ryan? Or are you just like,
No,
all right?
he's not.
Or are you just Matt
he might
Stafford?
be- he
Are you
might-
just Matt Stafford in a better situation?
He might be right under that status.
Yeah.
You know, that
He's-
second tier-ish status.
For most of Matt Ryan's career, he's been a borderline 8 to 10 top quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah, I
point,
think that's
I'm
fair.
trying to make here isn't it to bash Matt Ryan fest. It's no one
Matt
thinks
Ryan's
this way. Everyone thinks, oh, Matt Ryan. But
Matt
it's like,
Ryan
no,
is a
look
great
deeper, dude. Look deeper.
regular season quarterback. He's a great regular season quarterback. He's a 4,030 guy every year.
A guy who's won the
But
MVP should
they should've
never
won a
have a
Super Bowl.
1-5 season. I don't care
Oh,
if
he
your head
should've.
coach
He should have
is
won a
me.
Super Bowl. Had nothing to do
You
with
shouldn't
it.
go
But-
1-5.
No, it did have something to do with him. Why
Minim-
is he throwing the ball on 3rd down and field goal range? That has something to do with it.
He
As a
could have
coach.
easily, yes, but he
Coach
could have
play
easily
call.
came out, looked at it, and go check, check, check,
But
and
he
then
could
run it up the gut.
If he knew it was going to be
That's within
bad.
his
I'm not
power.
saying he didn't make any mistakes
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the game
All
or
right,
bad
let's-
plays, but they should have won that.
Let's say you don't want to.
I put that on Dan
your
Quinn,
coach.
100%. You're right. I
Let's
do.
say you don't want to disobey your coach, you're Matt Ryan, and you know that play's stupid, but you're going to run it anyway. There's things you can do
You
to
can-
make sure that you don't lose that
You-
field
you can
position.
run a
throw the ball away.
You can run a stupid
Throw
play.
it at a receiver's feet.
I agree. You can run a stupid play and still execute a
His
play.
only job was to not take the
I
sack.
mean, you
and he
can
took
run
the
a
sack.
stupid play and it's still
could.
executed properly.
And when I
And
say
it-
and when I say just drop the ball, it really is that simple. Once someone gets their hand on you as a QB, if their hand's not on your arm, all you have to do is this, and that is a throw. That's all.
Well,
he
it
has
has to be
do.
an eligible receiver in the area. I mean, you can't just.
but a
drop
lot
the
of
ball.
things. Okay.
But on a play like that, there's always a running back who's either swinging or curling right
Yeah,
in
the
front
running
of
the
you.
running
So
back.
you can whap.
The running back was Devonta Freeman, and he
but-
got absolutely planted
this is-
by
this is-
Okay,
Hightower.
so but here's the thing: if he's planted and he's right near you, you can still
Yeah.
drop it near him, and that's an eligible receiver within the.
Throw
That's
it at the
all
back
he
of his
had to
head.
do. He got swung to the ground holding onto a ball like a moron.
But the idea that Matt Ryan would be looked at differently if they had won that game is so simplistic to me, right? When it was 28-3, they had a 99.9999% chance of winning that game.
Yeah.
Do you know how many the confluence of factors that had to happen for
Yeah,
New
yeah,
England
no,
to win
no.
the game?
No,
Oh,
you're
I know.
right.
I
if
saw
not-
it happen.
Right.
You're 100%.
So if not, he's got a championship and he's looked at differently. Which for me, I'm not going to look at him that much differently.
No, so
really.
you're absolutely right. That is the social like what would happen. Me personally, I've never been a big Matt Ryan guy. So if he won it,
Yeah, I get
I
it.
would have been the dude who was like, yeah, he won it, but he's better Trent Dilfer, whatever. That's what I would have said about him.
Well, no,
But
because
no,
Trent
most
Dilfer's
people
won.
wouldn't be. But most people wouldn't have thought that way. Most people would have
That's
been.
what I'm
Oh
saying.
no,
Most people
Because they look at
have that
they look at the result or what the outcome is.
if
and
he
it's like,
won
hey,
that, you would have thought of him differently because of his stats
well, I
in the
wouldn't
game.
have thought of him as having won that either. Like
In the
that.
season.
Well,
He was
had-
a member of the Falcons team that won a championship.
Well, he was the regular season MVP, and he had a
He had a
great
good year.
statistical
Yeah.
Super Bowl
and
game.
he still did.
If you look
But-
at his Super Bowl stats, you'd think that was a great game. But if you watch the game, you'd say he made some mental mistakes that
He
cost
did.
them the game
He-
at the end.
He was part of it. There was a lot of things that happened there.
But in football, that's how it goes.
It
We're not
does.
we're not
It
we're not
does.
talking out of turn by saying quarterbacks get the blame. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In other NFL news, with the Redskins, Trent Williams comes out this week. Obviously, there's been
Crazy
kind of a
story.
disagreement here with Trent Williams and the Washington Redskins, and he's sitting out, holding out, and doesn't want to play for the organization. They're not willing to trade him. But he comes out and puts on record that he went to see team doctors for an issue that he was having, and they misdiagnosed him, and he was found to have a rare form of cancer. So, two things here about team doctors, right? We talked about team doctors on the show. Their vested interest in the end result is with the team, right? They're hired by the team. They want to maintain their position with the team. If the team wants Trent Williams in the game, when it comes down to it, that guy's going to put Trent Williams
A
in the game.
team doctor already has a conflict of interest.
Exactly.
On one hand, what you just said, they're beholden to what's best, quote unquote, what's best for the team, and they have a Hippocratic oath to do no damage to the guy.
Yeah.
Doctors also make mistakes.
so
a
here's the
rare
thing.
form of cancer.
Exactly.
So here's the thing. First of all, these are the best doctors in the world. That's who these guys get. The best doctors in the world.
You would think so.
And
hope so.
and I kind of disagree with the whole they force guys out there thing. I don't think so. We have seen countless cases of rare and unseeable things being diagnosed by team doctors.
Yeah.
We've seen Guillain-Barré syndrome diagnosed twice in Mark Schlereth and in Travis Frederick. We have seen the blood clots in the lungs of your center.
Yep, David Andrews.
We have seen plenty of heart conditions diagnosed by team doctors. We've seen plenty of things that have either ended guys' seasons or careers diagnosed by team doctors. We've seen it mad times. So I don't really adhere to that way of thinking too much. I get the point. It's a valid point.
It happens.
But I don't think they go, this guy's got cancer, we're playing him.
No.
I don't think that. And now, next thing is, should he have gone to a team doctor? Yeah, because his team doctor's better than his primary care physician, guaranteed.
Yes, but he has the means to go see any doctor he wants.
And
there's
any
doctors outside the team doctors that are just as good as team doctors, if not better.
And they certainly could have misdiagnosed it. It could have been missed.
Sure.
Maybe it wasn't as
Maybe it
developed
was a
as it is
mistake.
now when
Maybe
it's
it was a
found.
mistake.
There's many issues.
There's that
could be in there.
doctor, what's his name, Andrews, that does all the knee
orthopedic
surgeries.
stuff.
Yeah, that guy isn't a team doctor, right? But everyone seeks
They go
him when
see
they have
him
an
and-
ACL
yeah,
injury
they go
because.
seek him.
But the
he's-
reason for that was, what was it, like 20 years ago or so? He was like innovative in terms of knees, like he was the best of the best. And then they found that, and that's what kind of renaissanced into the world we have now of ACLs not being a problem anymore. And so, like, he's actually one of the 100 game changers of all time in the NFL. Like,
and that-
Yeah, he is.
so it's a little different in that aspect.
Well, that's my point. Is if you're Trent Williams, why are you relying on a Redskin team doctor to make a diagnosis on you when you have the ability and the means, the funds to go out?
Who diagnosed the
seek-
cancer now? Outside
Obviously,
of,
someone else, not within the Redskins organization. I
yeah, so
don't
he
know
went
who,
outside. But
He did. Yes,
But I mean, I think as a player, your thought process is they have my best interest in heart than a regular doctor would.
I don't think they would though.
I mean, I'd be mad
Like
if
I said,
if they
dude.
blatantly
Like
misdiagnosed
I said,
it and
dude.
I had to go outside. But
Like, we've seen team doctors do this before. We've seen team doctors do it countless times. We had to play without the best center in football because the team doctor said this dude's got a very serious autoimmune disease. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is like we've seen it. These dudes don't generally try to hide shit to get a guy on the field. I haven't seen any proof of
We
that.
saw that with Kevin Durant, though, right? Team doctor
that's
said
basketball.
Kevin Durant's ready to go.
But that's basketball. I'm talking football.
well,
People have different ethics in different sports.
nah, I mean, there's a team doctor. There's a team doctor. They all take the same oath to do no more damage, right? Like,
I mean,
that's a
okay, but in
hypocritical
one,
from a
but in
doctor
one, but in
anywhere,
one
any
league, but in
doctor.
one league, we're in the pocket of a fascist government, and in another league, we're not. So, I mean, league politics are different league to league, dude. League politics
What?
different league to league.
yes, but what you're saying is the doctors don't have that in them to make the bad call when they
No,
clearly
I
did.
didn't say they don't have it in them. What I'm saying is we don't generally see that unless you show me proof of guys doing this and all kinds of like show me historical proof of stories coming out being like, hey, they hid this to get a guy in the game for a big game. Like we've never seen
Kevin
it.
well,
Durant.
they did it.
In basketball. Show me it in football.
They did it years ago. I mean, I guess it wasn't as well
Oh,
studied
sure,
and
of
known.
course.
They knew
dude,
they
in
knew
the-
they were
I
doing
mean,
damage.
hell yeah, in the '90s they were shooting you with
and
shooting you
back
up with
before
what's
that.
it called and saying get back out there.
What
Sure,
is
we
that?
all know about that.
I mean, there's been instances we've talked about on the show. Emmett Smith playing the game against the Giants.
but
to
dude, I
separate
just said
shoulder.
that's the '90s, dude. We're talking about now.
But it happened in football. You keep changing what you want to talk about. You said football. I gave you a football reference. That happened in football.
All right, you're right. It happened in football 30 years ago. You're right. But in football 30 years ago, they did that. Just like they used stickum. But things change and things are wrong now.
Of course. I'm sure it's happened. It happened a few weeks ago in his Falcons game, and you were arguing about it on the show with Keanu Neal. They put Keanu Neal back in the game, and he tore his ACL.
No, that was last season.
Or-
But yes,
Immediately after. It happens. There's these team doctors, when it comes down to it, have a vested interest in the team.
So hold
And
on.
we talked about it. They should be hired by the NFL, not by the team.
And they're not God. They or whatever
should
you
be
believe in.
rotated.
They
That's-
people
that's-
can be good to go and get hurt.
that's
Maybe
what I was.
Kevin
That's
Durant.
what I was going to say. The whole Keanu Neal thing. Listen. I never said misdiagnosis don't happen. I'm saying false diagnoses don't happen. That's what I'm saying.
But when you can see it on a television, all right, that guy does not belong back in
But
the
I've
game.
torn my ACL, so when I seen it, I was like, "Oh, dude, I know what that entails." But you also have to think, when I tore my ACL, you were making fun of me saying you're an idiot. You're standing, you're walking, you're running, right? That's what you were saying to me. I'm a fat schlub. Keanu Neal, the the surrounding areas of his knee are so unimaginably strong.
Yeah,
he
so-
probably could have beat their tests. And any surgeon will tell you, because I've talked to multiple, because I've gone to multiple, will tell you it is very, very difficult to diagnose a torn ACL through Field's test. MRI is almost the only way to guarantee it.
Yeah.
They almost, dude, Dr. Stern misdiagnosed mine with just a field test. That's why he wanted the MRI.
Throws him right under the
I
bus.
was going to try to get him
but
on
it's
here.
not because
He's retired now.
Because multiple
We're trying to get him
great-
on
multiple-
about stuff like this.
But I'm not throwing him under the bus for the
Get a
simple fact
doctor
that
on, yeah.
multiple guys I've spoken to, again, I have another Wareham doctor, they've said, it's so hard to diagnose an ACL, especially because some people have much stronger surrounding areas of the knee, with the test they do on the field. So when they
The
did it, and he's
anterior
like,
draw test, it's called.
yeah, which
I remember
this,
that from
which
Miss,
by the
Miss
way,
Manny's high school.
which, by the way,
athletic training
this
class.
idiot tried to do, in my
I
uncle's
did
living
on
room,
you.
and he's like, "It's good." I'm like,
Yeah,
"It's
it's
good." Next thing you know, I get the MRI. Hey, your ACL exploded.
I was like, shack up.
Well,
Yeah. He also said you're walking and standing, so it's not torn, which is just
Oh,
factually
well, I'm
correct.
also not a doctor, so
Yeah, but no.
That's
but,
what I said
yo,
earlier.
But
That's
you
what I
are-
said earlier.
Williams, why would you take my advice, Trent
That's what I
Williams?
said earlier when we were doing Diaz.
No, you are
We're not
absolutely not a
doctors.
doctor, but you are 100%. I have no facts, but I'm going all in on what I'm saying,
Oh,
kind of
hell
guy.
no. Oh, I hate that.
Are you projecting on me right now?
Nah, you're a piece of shit.
Maybe you both do that. What
No,
the hell?
but the
I don't know.
Keanu thing's a little different. The Keanu thing's a little different. They brought him to the tent. They checked his knee, and it didn't fail their test. So it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Now I said it. I could have easily been wrong when I said that. When I texted you saying that's torn, but I wasn't. But I could have easily been.
Yeah, well, you're also a hypochondriac, so every week you're like, oh, I think I'm dying today. Ah.
That's true. But also
I got
both.
AIDS,
But both tears I've had, I called.
Because
on
all the Chinese food.
But I will say this: both tears I've had, I called on the spot. Both doctors said didn't exist, and
you've
then
also-
MRIs proved otherwise.
You've also called 12 other tears that you didn't have, so I mean, there's...
well, no, to say I didn't have him isn't true. To say I didn't have him isn't true. I never got him checked, and my body is pretty jacked
yeah,
up.
you can't say I didn't have them.
Yeah, but like I think the brain thing's a little different because that's a growth on the head, so that's a little weird. You got to take that a little bit more into consideration than you would the Keanu O'Neal thing. Like I think they should have been more diligent, but I don't think this was a situation where they were like, listen, this might be cancerous, but we're not going to tell them. I don't think that's what
they
happened.
did that.
I
I don't think they
that's
did
what
that
happened.
either.
No, I don't
do
think
not
they did either.
that.
I don't think they did that either. But I think the underlying issue here is there should be no vested interest in a doctor. The doctor should be independent of the league, hired by the league. Okay, we're going to hire these 32 doctors.
Oh God, Eric Berry's cancer, I believe.
This doctor is your doctor. This doctor is your doctor. They don't work for you. They work for the NFL.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Because now there's no pressure from the Redskins organization. There's no pressure from whatever organization they represent. They're not a team doctor. That doctor
They have no ties, no conflicts
Exactly.
of interest.
That doctor
are
could
blatant
tell
and
you,
obvious.
listen, dude,
That's all.
I don't care what you say. This guy's not playing today. Like
He's
and-
not
and
playing
there's
based
no-
on my
and there's-
recommendation.
and
And if
there's
you
no
play him, it goes
repercussions.
against my
Yeah, I don't have a problem
clinical
with that.
judgment.
and there's
think
no
that-
repercussions for that,
That's a good
right?
idea, actually.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think there's a
that's-
problem
yeah.
with that at all.
There's no repercussions for a guy ruling out a guy and the organization not agreeing with it. And then tomorrow, hey, guess what? You're not a team doctor.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a good team doctor because I would say, hey, if it's on
Yeah.
paper and it's for me, I recommend this guy not to play because I notice it. I really don't care. That's how I am as a person.
Me?
Anyway,
I mean,
but-
are you hurt or are you injured?
But guess
If you're hurt, you're playing. If
But-
you're injured, you can sit out.
But you know as well as I know
do.
that there has been
Most people are
situations. There has been
influenced.
situations in the NFL where a team doctor has probably lost his job for making the decision he was supposed to make. Right?
Sure. I'm
all
sure.
right,
with
fine. You want to
an
give me 14
unpopular-
pumpkin beers? I'll
An
I'll write down on
unpopular
paper.
decision.
But and then just not to harp on it much longer, but just to speak to the Emmitt Smith thing, a separated shoulder on a running back, if you put it back in, depending on the game, should not keep you out of the game. If you're a baller, it shouldn't keep you out of the game. Man
Okay,
up.
but medically, maybe it could.
but
right?
but if a doctor's telling you can't play, the doctor's wrong. If you're saying you shouldn't, that's a different story.
well, I don't know. I'm
Shouldn't
not a
is-
doctor.
shouldn't- shouldn't
if
is
he-
my assessment.
Now,
I'm
if
not
he
God.
tore his ACL in that game and the doctor said you're done, yeah, that makes perfect sense because the more you run and cut on it, the more damage you're going to do to the meniscal area and shit like that. Separating your shoulder, even if you tore your shoulder labrum, that's not enough to keep you out of a game depending on the bigness of the game.
But the doctor
So it's
doesn't
like-
have the final say. Doctor gives you go to your doctor and he
Yeah.
tells you not to eat Cheetos, and you go home and eat Cheetos. You still eat Cheetos,
Yeah.
and then you come
Yeah.
in next time and you probably shouldn't eat Cheetos. It's my recommendation. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Speaking of being injured and injured reserve, Josh Gordon was on injured reserve. We talked about this last week and the intentions of the Patriots on putting him there, right? We thought there was some sort of design as to why they put him there. He lands there this week. He's released and claimed by the Seattle Seahawks.
A Patriot paranoia was running high last week that they were up to something
Right.
devious.
Well, it's a little
Diabolical.
interesting because I think if he wasn't picked up by any teams, the Patriots would have picked him back up. I think
They might have. Yeah, they might have done that.
but lands in Seattle. Obviously, if he can recover from the injury, has a good opportunity to play there and be effective.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett there, he could add another piece to their receiving core to help get them over the hump into the playoffs. And ultimately, I mean, they're going to be a playoff team without a doubt. But Seattle's kind of been a playoff team and hasn't been able to get over to the hump.
A true GOAT quarterback right there, not Matt Ryan. I'm sorry.
How do we feel about Josh Gordon going to Seattle and his ability to make an impact there?
I mean, what risk did they really put
Exactly.
themselves
Yeah.
under? You know?
I don't. I mean, listen, in Madden, this is gonna be great. In real football, it's gonna amount to nothing. It's gonna amount to nothing in real
Can't believe you
football.
still play Madden.
I do.
Well, I mean, it's either that or kill myself because I can barely still play football, so I need it somehow.
Are you looking for a team doctor recommendation?
Oh, Jesus.
No, I assure you, if on the astronomically never gonna happen chance that I got the shot and a team doctor gave me a physical, he would say, "I don't know how your body still works.
you wouldn't-
Your spinal cord is ruined.
You wouldn't pass a
should
physical.
You should not ever touch a field. You shouldn't stand up anymore." That's probably what they would say.
You wouldn't pass a physical based on sodium levels.
But I've never, no, you're right. I've never actually gotten my neck and back injuries checked because I'm fully straight up scared of what they'll say to me. That's why I haven't done it. Everything else I don't care about.
was that? Was
Stuff
that
like
Missy Elliott?
No, that's Lil Kim.
Yeah, I think it is.
Lil Kim, who looks like a Cheshire cat now.
Oh, what?
The cat from Alice in Wonderland, the smiling cat, goofy cat.
Oh, yeah.
So
So
with Josh Gordon going there, it could be also another thing that they're trying to get some sort of red zone package with a bigger receiver because they lost Disley, who
Love a
was
good
being
package.
used
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
before he got hurt in the red zone for touchdowns.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if he comes and plays this year.
Who, Gordon?
Yeah,
Well,
and if he doesn't play this year, I don't see them keeping on the roster for next year.
yeah, he's playing this year. He's cut. I mean, there's no.
And then besides
At this
that, like
point,
I said,
he's at the last
like
leg
I
of his
said,
career.
whatever his overall is in Madden, he'll play to that, and it'll be fun to play with in Madden. In football, I don't think he'll accomplish anything. He seems to not be himself. He seems to not even be the self he was last year, which was a little different from himself, but it's still very good. Listen, if you're a complete optimist, you can put this as, hey, two guys who are huge on the outside, and the slot receiver goes back to the slot, and they dominate. But I don't see it happening.
Jacksonville. What's the update on that game, Mike?
It's 19-3 Houston with 5 minutes to go, so it looks like Houston's going to win. Houston has the ball. So.
Yeah, Houston should
Well,
win.
let's not make any assumptions here, Mike.
So
I said
Jacksonville.
I said-
Jackson,
All I said is say
Minshew
what's
comeback.
what's Jacksonville's record? Does anyone?
Jacksonville's 4-4,
4-4.
about to be 4-5.
They're 4-5
Houston's
with
about
Gardner Minshew. That's a dub.
So they're 4-5 with Gardner Minshew, who's been playing since week 1.
Yep.
Nick Foles is now back in the fold, and the Jaguars have a decision to make. Do they roll with Nick Foles or do they stick with Gardner Minshew?
Gardner Minshew keeps the job, but his leash becomes short because you did pay for Nick Foles. So you keep the job, but your leash becomes short. If you do anything that might seem to be losing me a game in the future, you might lose your job. And then once the season ends, this becomes a full-on competition in the offseason.
That's such a bad team approach to quarterbacking, though, and it
I
happens so often.
But I think
It's called in psychology the sunk cost fallacy. The idea that I've already spent money so that I have to stay. It's like being in a relationship. I've already spent 5 years, so I might as well spend the next 30 suffering.
Now,
too.
let me. No, you're
Like,
right. No,
it's-
you're right. You're 100% correct.
But I'm not saying that Minshew's done enough to kind of stay in there. But does it make a difference? Is Foles and Minshew going to win?
Let me just preface. Well, I didn't preface, but let me say now, this isn't necessarily my thought process. I think this is what the Jags are. This is what teams are going to do, or what the Jags. This isn't exactly my thought process. I would have never took Nick Foles on my team because I know he's trash. So Gardner Minshew would be my quarterback if I was around the Jags.
But you think Gardner Minshew is a better option than Nick Foles?
I think Gardner Minshew's winning. Dak Prescott wasn't a better option than Tony Romo, but they didn't give Romo back the reins. He's winning. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, whatever works.
So good news for you. Carlos Hyde is 16 carries for 160 yards. However, he did just fumble in
60
Jacksonville.
yards.
Dude, hey, he's only got 10 points. No, 14 now. That he just busted that.
Well,
Run.
but he just
busted
but he
that run.
fumbled at the end of the run. I
Yeah.
just want you to know.
Oh,
that.
he Nick Chubb.
So he
did.
lost.
Hey,
a couple
I looked
points.
at it a second ago. It was 10. He just busted that run. That's
Yeah,
all that is.
58-yard run, and then he fumbled through the back of the end zone.
What an idiot.
Or it was recovered in the end zone by Jackson.
14's not bad from Carlos Hyde though. I'll take it.
Week 9.
Yeah, I see them doing that. But then I said it becomes a full-on competition in the offseason. You find out who's the better quarterback at that point.
And what do you do with a guy that you just paid big money?
You try to move him. Or you keep him. It's up to you.
Hey,
you want to keep him?
Cincinnati.
Yeah, no, you got guys that you might be
Cincinnati's
able to
gonna need a
move,
quarterback.
even if it's Minshew you wanted to move, right?
Yeah,
you got him a
you're
little
right.
bit of splash and dash here.
Speaking
and
of
you
Chicago.
Speaking of Cincinnati, they
Chicago.
I think they've
They did
about
my boy-
had it with Andy Dalton.
They did my boy Dalton
out.
dirty though. They did him dirty though.
Yeah, they
He's
sat Andy Dalton after the trade deadline
on his birthday.
on his birthday. I
Happy
think
birthday. That's a good thing. That's a good birthday present. You don't have to play anymore for the Bengals.
Hey, it would be a
Thank
good
you.
birthday present.
The
if he
Bengals
didn't-
don't
if
have
he-
to play anymore with him.
It would
though.
be a
Like,
good birthday present if he got to go. Okay, so I don't have to show up to the game then. I don't have to be there.
No, that's great. You get to watch it for free. Or just get
Nah,
to
I want
watch.
to go home and be with my kids and my wife. If I don't have to be here, I don't want to be here.
No, you have to be there. You're getting paid.
Other
man.
news too. Cam Newton's foot is not progressing,
yes.
No.
so he's
Right.
getting a second opinion in Green Bay.
So this leads me to believe something's broken or torn.
This leads me to believe that Cam Newton is. They say he's doing everything under his power to rehab this injury. I don't think he is.
Well,
I think
it's quite clear to me they're doing something that doctors do, which is pretty dumb all the time.
I think-
He's got an injury, and they're like rehab, and it's like rehab doesn't heal things. That's not how that works.
I honestly think though Cam Newton is delaying his recovery from this injury so that this season can finish out and he can take over next season without losing his job because
Either
he
there or
knows
somewhere
when
else.
Maybe.
Yeah,
he knows
there or-
when he
maybe.
comes back he's probably not going to be the starter.
Maybe.
And that's going to be bad for his
Bam.
future.
But
and if he was and he didn't perform well, wow,
Exactly.
even worse.
But what I think is he shredded something in his foot. They seen it and go, "Oh, we can rehab this," similar to that dumbass doctors do sometimes.
Yeah.
And they're seeing that it's not working. And he just said he's getting another opinion. You know what the second opinion is going to be? You need surgery, dude. That's what it's going to be. I'm calling it right now.
Oh yeah,
they said
guaranteed.
no as of this morning.
They
I think
told
that
me
was
to
cap.
they told me to rehab my torn shoulder labrum. I'm like, yeah, it'll just fix itself. That makes sense.
Muscles,
Like,
muscles.
It's just the way it is. Sometimes these guys are overly optimistic in the league, and they go, maybe we can rehab this, or maybe we can rehab our bodies to the point where we can compensate for this injury and fix it in the off season.
But Cam's best interest is to not play this season.
Best interest, yes,
Because if he doesn't play this season, then he's Cam Newton who got hurt.
he's
the
technically
former
not a bad
MVP,
quarterback yet.
The
at that
former
point.
MVP, and he's going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And get a deal. But if he comes back and he's bad, like Mike says, or he comes back and now he's a backup to Kyle Allen, his stock goes down.
Yeah.
The stonks, dude. The stonks go down hard. That's a shout out for some people watching. That's got nothing to do with you.
Oh, okay. Sure. Let's go over our week 9 picks. So we got Texans, Jags going right now.
I'll take the Texans.
We're obviously not going to pick that.
Cam Newton to the Bills.
Well, let's see. Who did you pick in your pick 'em? Because that
I
had to
took-
be done before the game
Me?
started.
I took the Jags.
I took the
This is
Texans.
the way this year's been.
Of course you
What are
took
you
the
gonna do?
Jags.
They were favored in the game. This is what I'm saying.
They
It's an
shouldn't
awkward
have been.
year.
The Texans are much better.
Are you someone who lives and dies by the rankings, bro?
No, but if Vegas says that team is favored in the game, that does mean something.
Yeah,
Because
it means
they
they're gonna snap kneecaps of the other team so that they get their
Yeah,
odds.
but the Texans are a much better team than the Jaguars.
I wouldn't say much better. I would not say much.
What's
better.
their record?
5-3, 4-4 coming in.
Hey,
They've already
last week,
played. The Jags almost
last
won
week
in
almost
Houston.
every home game won, which is
That's why I
been
won.
weird.
That's
Which has
why
been
I-
weird.
that's why I won
I
13
picked
games,
almost
so-
all home teams, and I had a hell of a week.
Well, this
Exactly.
week I get 9 away teams. This
It's just
week.
been an awkward year. This is uncanny for what usually goes on.
Bears at Eagles, 1:00 game. Who do
I
we
have the
get?
Eagles.
I have the Eagles too. The Bears are a mess.
Eagles.
Bears are a mess. Matt Nagy
They are.
absolutely blew the game last week. Decides to kneel the ball. Never asks his kicker where he likes it placed.
Nope.
Kneels the ball to the left hash. Instead of trying to get 4 or 5 more yards, make your kick a little easier. And then they missed a kick by half a
Yeah,
yard.
they had about,
Unreal.
they killed about
Unreal.
25 seconds.
Yeah, for no reason.
Yeah.
When you could have took a safe run up the middle or even a QB sneak or something just to get yourself in a better position, centered on the goalposts.
Yep.
Gain a couple yards, do something. Matt Nagy blew the game.
Lost the game.
This was my pick for the Super Bowl.
Me
and
too.
It's an absolute horrible take.
I want to
dumpster
reiterate
fire.
that I am the only one at the table that picked the Packers to win the division, and they.
I mean,
They're gonna
that's
win the
I took
part,
the Vikings to win the
that's
division.
part of making a million.
Still not impossible. For the
No, it's
Vikings.
not impossible.
But that's part of making a million picks. You're going
Yeah,
to hit some. You
of
take
course.
responsibility. It didn't go well.
That was
for
a
whatever
really
reason.
bad take, though. The Bears Super Bowl,
Well, yeah,
Trubisky
after-
MVP. That was awful.
You didn't say he was going to win the MVP.
No,
You
he
said he was
did.
going to have a good. He
I
didn't say he
said-
was going
he
to
said
win.
MVP.
No, I said he,
He
was
said
going
he
to be
might
in the
be in the
running.
consider. He did not say he
Let's
would
go back
win
to the
it.
tape.
I said he was going to be in the running.
Let's go back to the tape.
We can. I have.
I'd love to go back to the tape.
But I said he was going to be in the running. I didn't
Your
say
Honor,
so.
I'd like to go back to the
Even
tape.
if you said he was going to win it, that happens. Season not over yet.
Colts at Steelers.
No T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, this
In
guy.
this game.
This guy's always injured.
Yeah.
Sucks, man. But you know
Constantly
what?
injured.
Every time he comes back, he goes off for 120 and then gets hurt again. It's weird.
I'm going to take the Colts. I don't think the Steelers are that good of a team.
He's a
including
twink.
Monday
That's his
night's
problem.
game.
I'm
gonna
taking
take-
the Colts.
I'm taking
too.
Indy.
Colts are much better than the Steelers, but I took the Colts.
I'm actually taking
Also,
the
what
Steelers.
I'll tell you what, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
The Steelers
Pick 'em
D's
game.
looking pretty good with Minka, and it's doing some things. I like it.
No, they
Look
just
out
played the
for
Dolphins.
Jalen
dude.
Samuels
Dolphins are
today.
moving the ball, and then they just.
Dude, the
Couple
fact
turns.
that the Steelers have wins is wild. Dude, it's wild. With two
No,
QBs
they
who have never
have a
played
pretty
football
good
before.
defense. They
Who'd
have
they
some.
beat? They beat the Dolphins.
They
They
beat the Chargers.
on the road,
Yeah, the
which was a
Chargers
home
are
game.
awful though. We just talked
They have
about
a pretty
the
good
Chargers.
defense.
Yeah, but they have star power that can get away from you.
They beat the Chargers on the road at home.
But they have
That's
star
how I
power that can get
Still
away
close
from
to
you. You know what I
close.
mean?
No, they have some players.
That was a Steelers home game. I don't care what anyone
They
says.
have some players.
The crowd was 95% Steelers fans. Jets at Dolphins.
Here's a game that both teams want to lose.
I think the Dolphins get their first win.
I think so too.
I
Sam
think so,
Darnold
too, so
has
they'll
thrown
probably
7
lose.
picks in the past 2 weeks and 2 fumbles.
Yeah, he just looked like a stud against Dallas, and then
Because
Dolphins-
Dallas doesn't play him once every 8 years.
Dolphins have looked like just a regular bad NFL team the last 3 weeks instead of an all-time bad team.
I have the Dolphins.
the Dolphins have been in the game the last
3
3
weeks
I
in a
have
row,
the
you could've
Dolphins
won
too.
them.
Do we all got them?
That's
all picked
unreal.
them.
The guaranteed loss.
Might be the only time this year we have the Dolphins.
Just win the damn game so I don't have to
And
worry.
they're
Then
at
we can
home.
lose the rest of the games.
And
Just
they're at
win the
home.
damn game.
I'm
already.
glad that we all picked them because I'm not going to lose a game if we all. Vikings at Chiefs.
I actually have the Vikings.
Chiefs.
I have the Vikings too.
I took the Chiefs.
Thielen
They're going to
is
be without
suspected to
Mahomes
play.
again.
They
without
are.
Mahomes again
Moore looked
Wait,
pretty good the
since
other
when
night.
did they call that?
Since last week.
Mahomes is out.
Yeah.
That's not what I had heard.
Mahomes
Yeah,
is out.
he's out.
They said it this morning.
I got the Vikings, boys. Listen,
I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Let me tell you something about the Vikings. Great team. Might win the division.
Yeah. Changes his picks. We should have left it alone. When what you say is your
Yeah,
pick.
he
That's it.
changes it at the minute.
You change
No,
it based on.
the injury report absolutely matters.
Oh, that's your fault for being
Well,
uneducated.
yeah,
on the injury
there's a
report.
difference between Pat Mahomes and Matt Moore. Yes,
Yeah, a little bit.
Matt Moore played well last week.
You
though.
say
Yeah,
a
he
little
did.
bit?
I think he
oh,
played
sarcasm.
well.
All right.
Sarcasm.
They can win a few games, 2 or 3 weeks with Matt Moore. They can win.
Listen, don't worry. I got the Steelers
Not
over
this
the.
week.
I got
Next
the Steelers
week they
over
have
the
the
Colts. You'll get me there.
Titans,
Don't
I
worry
believe.
about it.
You have the
They coulda
Steelers
beat
over
the
Colts.
Greenies.
That's not gonna happen. Titans at Panthers.
I have the Panthers.
Panthers.
I have the Panthers too, but this is another game. The Titans, like
That's a pick 'em.
the Titans, always seem to show up when they're not supposed to show up.
I did take the Panthers, but I think they've been playing a lot better. The Titans with Tannehill in there,
Panthers,
and I'm not
go-
sure if he's gonna go a couple more weeks playing well. I think.
And we had said that Panthers.
I might change that.
Was it Panthers Niners game was going to be close, and the Niners
I took
whipped
the
them.
Niners.
Yeah,
Whipped
Yeah,
them.
that's just football, man. It's weird how that happens.
Redskins at Bills.
Okay, so I hate this.
Don't do it.
I hate this.
Don't do it.
If Dwayne Haskins wasn't a rookie, I'd pick the Redskins. Only reason I'm not is because their defense is so good that the looks are going to confuse him and he's going to play bad because of
The
it.
Bills defense, you're saying?
Yes.
They're gonna. Yeah.
If it was a veteran QB playing for the Redskins right now, I say the Bills spiral started with the Eagles and continues this week. But because Haskins is playing, Bills.
I have Buffalo.
I took the Bills too, and this is why I can't see.
They'll lose again next week. The Bills will lose again next week.
They're going to lose some games, but this is why I can't see Cleveland coming up and
Yeah.
taking a spot because teams like this that are 5-2,
Yeah.
unbelievably good chance to get the 6-2.
Yeah. And that's why I said they'll be 11-5 because their schedule is favored for them to win.
Now,
more weeks than not.
Mike said earlier Cleveland plays home against the Bills.
Yeah.
So right there, if Cleveland doesn't win that game, goodbye.
Oh, yeah.
They'll never catch the
Without
Bills
a doubt.
because then the Bills would have a tiebreaker. over
Without a
them, too.
doubt.
Yep.
And
for
the
example.
Bills are home to the Skins. The Skins are a bad team.
They're
We know
terrible.
that.
They're
They're
terrible.
awful. And the Bills have a great defense. And when you're on the road against a good defense, it's not a recipe.
It's
Redskins
not
are-
impossible, but
Redskins
it's
are
hard
the-
to see the Redskins
The
winning
Redskins
the game.
are one of the, besides the Browns, they're one of the best bad teams I've ever seen. Because, dude,
Oh, they're
they got
atrocious.
pieces, dude. They got pieces.
They are
pieces.
atrocious. They're
And it's
atrocious.
like-
They don't have a whole unit.
They're
that's-
atrocious.
It's so dude. The front seven, fine, no problems with it. Backfield, more than good enough. Frank Gore's getting it done. They're fine in the backfield.
Yeah,
Receivers,
Are
they're
you talking about the Bills?
no, the Redskins.
Frank goes with the Bills.
Yeah, I know. If what I'm saying is, if Gore's getting it done, then we got to say that AP and his backup are okay on the Redskins as a backfield.
They're okay, but but that's a bad team.
Terry McLaurin's doing great. The secondary of the Redskins is good, even though Josh Norman's got an APB out for him. It's weird. I don't get it, but it is what it is. Maybe a new coach will help him out.
Bucks at Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yeah,
Seahawks.
should be an easy one for the Sea Chickens.
I took the Seahawks, but Tampa's annoying. Sometimes they play well out of the blue, but I took the Seahawks.
Right now, Tampa is currently the product of a Bruce Arians coach team. It's a bad team that's winning games because he's a good coach.
Yeah. Lions at Raiders. I got the Lions.
I took the Lions.
Raiders.
Ugh.
Normally, I would take the Raiders at home, coast to coast, but I like the way the Lions have been playing.
Lions
this
have been
season.
I like
good.
the way the Raiders have been playing. That's
They've been playing better than expected too. But I did take the Lions, which goes against what I usually do.
The Lions have been good.
Yeah.
We have the Packers at the Chargers.
Come
this
on,
one,
Packers.
This one has the ability to be a blowout.
And let's talk about how the Packers should be the second undefeated team in the NFC. But dudes not being able to catch on the goal line are the reason why they aren't.
Who'd they lose to?
The Eagles.
Yeah.
It was a pick off a dude's
God.
hands on a slant that went over his head.
That's kind of a bad loss for the Packers.
But the Eagles are one of those teams that they're like the Nate Diaz of the league. They can beat any team in the league.
Yeah.
They're not a great team, but they can beat any team in the league.
Eagles going to win that NFC East. I mean, you look at those two schedules. I almost have no doubt. I almost have no doubt. You look at those two schedules and you match them up. It's like one team.
Yeah.
It's unreal the difference in those two teams.
Yeah.
And the game head to head is in Philly now. Out of the one left,
Yep.
it looks to me like a
2
clear
years in a
path.
row we've swept them. Looking to do it 3. I'm ready for it.
You'll have to win that game, though. That's
Yeah,
we're in a lot of must-win scenarios right now.
Already.
The NFC's got better records
Cowboys
than the
are
AFC
always-
right now. So
Cowboys
so
are
it's going to
ready
be
for
hard
that
to make
beer.
it. We
That
have
beer
to.
and
Yeah,
Chinese.
there's
Get
a
ready,
lot,
dude. Chinese facts.
Let's go.
There's an 8-0 team, a 7-1 team, and a 7-2
There should be
team.
2 8-0 teams. That's what's wild about
I mean,
it.
the
They
NFC
gave that game
is
away against
stacked.
the Eagles, but
Yeah.
we got into
Yeah.
that. We've talked
Yeah.
about it.
The NFC is stacked. this
My
year.
dude was throwing dimes in dudes' chests, and his receivers
Cow-
just suck, so they're
Bad
bouncing
game.
off.
If the Cowboys don't win the division, they don't make the playoffs.
I've been saying this.
On that final drive, Graham dropped two passes. One was a touchdown. It might have been 2 touchdowns. And then there was the outside
Yeah, they should
receiver.
have probably.
And
won
then
that
Valdez Scantling, I believe, was dropped a touchdown that led to a pick. It's
Should've won
fucking
that one.
awful.
Browns at Broncos. This is the game that the Browns should
Brownies.
turn things around
Against
and
Brandon
get a win.
Allen at quarterback for the
Brownies. But this is one of those games where, like, if the pass rush gets out of hand, they can start scoring off fumble recoveries and stuff, and they can beat you even though their QB's trash.
Yeah.
I don't trust the Browns
This is
on
like
the
the
road. I'm
Chiefs,
taking
like
the
the Chiefs
Broncos.
winning against the Broncos. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
They were able to get so many sacks that Matt Moore was a non-factor.
You took the Broncos?
Yes, I did.
I got Browns. Yeah.
I'm taking the Browns.
But this could, like you said, this could be the game. They're favored. The Browns
Mm-hmm.
are favored in this game. They kind of should win, but they got to show me something.
Yeah.
Here we go.
This is the game of the week by far. This game is going to be awesome.
Yeah. I'm glad it's at night.
I have a feeling, though, that this game is not going to be as close as people anticipate it to be.
One way or the other, though, not just one way.
I think it could be very close for 3 quarters. And then halftime adjustments are going to put Lamar Jackson away. And the Patriots are going to win this game.
So here's the thing about Lamar Jackson not being put away. It can, but most usually isn't. Not because he's good.
We saw what happened to him in the playoffs last year.
It was his first year, though. He's made improvement. You got to say he's made great
he's way
strides.
better.
Not
since
throwing
last
the
year.
ball.
He's been better.
I mean, he's doing
been
fine.
better than he was.
I
last year.
still don't think he's a
not
good quarterback,
great.
but he's doing fine.
He's not great, but he's doing well.
I'll take Jared.
Up until last week, he was everyone's MVP pick. But
If he wins MVP, I will not watch another NFL game.
the reason
That's
why
not true. That's a lie.
the reason why halftime adjustments
lied.
don't work so great against a guy like him. I mean, just look at the tenure of Watson against the Pats since he's come in. It's a dude who they game plan for. They send that blitz. That blitz hits him. He ain't down. Now the play's gone longer. The receivers are fast on both those teams, and now a play's turned into a touchdown.
There's
they shouldn't
nothing
have.
valuable about a running quarterback. Nothing.
I'm just
There's
saying.
they're a
I'm
dime
not
a
saying
dozen.
long
That's not
term.
true.
I'm saying the course of a game. The course of a game. The Pats have struggled with with Deshaun Watson, not because he's so amazing, even though he's better than Thing.
But he has better weapons.
So
too.
Mike,
He's got better
I
weapons,
think-
and also every time they try to sack the dude, he
I can
breaks
find
out.
you 12 quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson.
But who do the Patriots
You can't
struggle
find
with
me
over
12
the course of their
quarterbacks.
career, dude?
No,
who
no,
do
I
the
know.
Patriots struggle with? These QBs.
These types of QBs, where I'm wondering how's Bill going to do this? Is he going to have a spy like either Van Noy or Jamie Collins as the two faster linebackers, or is he going to have a DB?
What? And they also
I don't
have-
think the Patriots are going to give everything away. I know that sounds stupid, but they're not going to give everything away because this is a team they could play in the playoffs.
Yeah, we're just talking.
I think the
matchup.
Ravens are going to win tonight.
Yeah, we're just talking matchup here, and again, regular season matchup. Not giving everything away.
I don't think they're going to give everything away. I think the Ravens are gonna
What
win
have the
tonight.
Patriots historically struggled with, even if it was just once?
This year,
Pistol, Wildcat, running quarterbacks. Who runs all three of those things?
Well,
This team.
Well, this year the Patriots have like the 24th worst run defense. Like their run defense is awful.
exactly, and that's what comes into play here.
If
All
they
of
can
their running
establish the
backs,
run a little bit.
every running back on this roster is good for 4 yards a carry. Even though I think they suck, besides Ingram, they're all good for 4 yards a carry in this scheme.
But can you run the ball is the problem, because we've seen
Browns
how
could.
we've seen how things work though. The Patriots get out to a lead and you kind of have to abandon the run
You
to
don't
maintain.
have to
pace.
early
you don't
in the
have
game,
to.
though.
It
If you're down,
depends.
if
It
you're down,
depends.
if it's a tie game, you're down 7, you're down 14 early, you can still
and it's
run
the
ball.
first
Right.
quarter.
Now,
Run
if
that
you're
ball
down
to
by
death.
2 scores in the second half,
It's a little
then
different,
you
but
got to reroute.
but
your
Exactly.
play
It all
calling.
depends on when it happens. Because the Browns did not get away from the run.
no,
Not until it got too
No.
late. The Browns kept going.
And that's
with
the only reason why they were in the game.
it. Yeah.
All right, but those turnovers killed them. They could have been right in that game.
Yep.
So Mike's been saying all along that he was going to take the Ravens.
Yes,
this
he
week
has
before
said
we-
since
I don't
I'm
know if
still
that's-
on the Ravens by 3.
Yep.
This will be
I'm
one of
taking
the
the
first
Ravens
3
still.
losses.
And it's
of
a
the
good
season
and
for
it's a
the
good
Patriots.
3 to bank on because they got a great kicker. So it's not a guy you're going to expect to be missing.
I got
And
the
that's
Pats.
another thing. Nick Folk makes his Patriots debut today.
Nick Folk. Oh my
Oh,
God.
Billy.
Yo, he's about to be shit bum titty fuck of the week.
We got rid of
Bob
Mike
Menery.
Nugent and picked up Nick Folk.
That's
So,
great, dude.
That's
Yo,
gonna be interesting.
Nick Folk is like a 2-time SBT, whatever the hell it is.
Who cares?
Mm-mm.
All right.
Yeah, SBTF.
Yeah.
He's a 2-timer.
You watch the Bob Menery video?
Yeah.
Oh,
funny.
dude, Nick Folk's terrible at football.
Football.
So we have Ravens. I got the Pats.
Ravens.
Ravens. I'm the only one that took the Pats. Wow.
Which isn't a it's not a hot take.
No,
That
it's
kind of
not.
is.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
I mean,
No,
I
it's
mean,
not.
if
My
they-
heart's absolutely in the Patriots. I'm taking the Ravens because if they have to lose a game this year. If they have to lose one, this
They
is the
have to
one
lose
that's
the game.
made to lose
They
to
have
them.
to
Why
lose
do
the
they
game.
have to?
Because they're not going 16-0.
They're
again.
not. They're going to.
Yeah,
lose
people
a
said
couple
that
of
in 07 too.
They were a better team in 07.
If they go
but they're going
if
to
they go
lose a couple
16-0,
of games.
I'll whatever you want.
Belichick and Brady are 7-3 against the Ravens, which bodes well. But if there's any franchise that gives this duo trouble, it's Harbaugh's Ravens. Yeah, there's no Ed Reed and
He
Ray
beat him in the
Lewis and
playoffs.
Haloti Nada.
Yeah, in the AFC Championship.
Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
AFC wild card in 09 and then AFC Championship game in
Harbaugh-
2012, which we were up 13-7 in that game. And what really turned that game around was Stephen Ridley getting knocked out by Bernard Pollard,
Yes.
Oh, dude, Stephen Ridley got
Which
hit
concussed-
into another dimension.
and which was a fumble, which turned that game. And Anquan Bolden went off.
Stephen Ridley went straight into the upside down.
I remember the big thing. I remember the big thing there. People was like that should have been flagged, and I'm like, no. Safeties and running backs don't get the protection. You are a running back
Bernard-
coming off the edge. You take it to the face.
Bernard
dude.
Pollard actually,
Period.
he kind of ended Ridley's career with that hit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Pretty
he
much.
did
I
nothing
mean,
after that.
Yeah,
with
he went to
Steelers.
the
Steelers.
Browns too, didn't he?
Ridley
He
was always
was
to
on
the
the
Steelers.
Jets. He went to the
Steelers.
Steelers.
Ridley was always
Yeah,
a
he
one
was
cut
a
back,
journeyman.
which isn't
Yeah.
great for a long
Well,
term career.
the
But
season after that,
he was
in
good.
2013, he tore his ACL.
Mhm.
But Ridley was better than Tony Michelle so far
Oh yeah,
back
he-
then.
He was. Yeah, he was. Pretty
And then
good.
all of a sudden
Yeah,
he
he
got
he was
pretty
He's
good.
a quicker, stronger running
Ridley's
back.
thing, Ridley was a
That's
one
good.
cut powerful back.
he got
was
hit
pretty good.
into another dimension and his career was pretty much
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah.
All right, Monday night game. This game's awful.
You can't say that, dude. Daniel Jones has been putting it on
This
people.
game's awful. Last week's Monday night game was awful. This week's
Oh,
awful.
I loved last week's
All
game.
right, whatever.
Cowboys at Giants. I got the Cowboys.
Dude, when is the Cowboys Giants ever a game
I
you
know.
don't want to watch?
I know. I want to watch
It's
it.
the Cowboys
I have
Giants.
I mean, they-
Zeke running all over.
They got
I hope
Saquon.
so.
They got Saquon back. They're getting
You're
Sterling
gonna
Shepard
watch
back.
two. You're gonna watch two of the best talents of the generation go head to head right now in these running backs.
There is.
You're gonna see Daniel Jones, who's been going for like 4 touchdowns a game.
But if
go-
Dallas is a team that belongs in the playoffs, they blow the Giants out.
not necessarily, the Pats are
And
gonna
they
win the
won't.
Super Bowl,
And
and
they-
they barely beat the Bills, and the Bills don't even belong in the same.
That's
talk.
a division.
There's no
It's
such.
a yeah,
There-
I just wanted to say that.
There's
exactly.
no. There's no such thing as a gimme game in the NFL.
Ah, I tricked you into it.
Yeah, we'll walk right into
There's
that.
there's no such thing as a gimme game. I wouldn't even be remotely even surprised if the Giants won. Never mind covered the line. But I'll take the Cowboys by a field goal.
I'll take the Cowboys by at least 10 points.
Take the Cowboys by a 63-yard field goal.
I'll say
because that's the only one that they're going to make.
Maybe.
Also, hey, how do we have
In New York?
It's true though.
How is
That's
it
what I'm saying,
possible
that
that the
stadium.
Their
Cowboys
kicker can't make it.
How is it possible that the Cowboys have simultaneously the best and worst kicker of all time? How is that possible? I don't get it.
Anything within 40 is unmakeable. Anything beyond 60,
He can't miss.
automatic.
He's 100% beyond 60, and he's got the most 60-yard kicks in NFL history.
Crazy.
He told a reporter before the game the other day that he's most comfortable inside the 40. No, you're not, dude. Get real. No, you're not. You're not, because you miss in there.
He constantly misses in there. I get the Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys.
I did take the Cowboys close
Cowboys.
game. I think it's
Oh.
gonna be close,
We're unanimous Cowboys, but we got one pick.
but I will cheer for the Giants.
It's a strange week.
I just can't believe we're
Well,
all
dude,
on.
I mean,
all
the
for the
matchup
Dolphins.
Pats Ravens is
I
a
know.
better matchup than the Cowboys Giants. So
Pats Ravens is much better because of the Giants.
beating a
record.
team does not mean you're good. It just means you're their kryptonite for that week. You got what it takes to beat them.
Well, as always, that's going to wrap it up for the week. Enjoy the games.
Enjoy the game.
Get on our social media and like our stuff. Download it. The episode should be available very shortly after the live feed is over. So get on all the usual places. Share it. Like it. Download it. Peace.
See you next week.
On behalf of all of us here at Two Dudes and a Mic, we would like to thank you for watching or listening to our show. This show is brought to you by our sponsor, The Best Ever. Visit www.thebestever.com for all your apparel needs. All of the video from our previous episodes is available anytime on YouTube if you subscribe to our channel, Two Dudes and a Mic. Our show audio is also available on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Be sure to check out our page on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Cover 3 Radio. We thank you for your continued support.